Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live. I'm Pete Gluszek. It's great to have you with us tonight. We have an amazing show. We have fresh off of his win and the Bass Pro Tour, Justin Lucas, who just absolutely dominated the field. We're going to be having him on the show tonight. And Jeff Kolodzinski, who is with Johnson Outdoors. And I see some smiling going on, whether or not I got that pronunciation right. And Ken Duke's in the house with us tonight. But we got these two guys on tonight. We're going to be talking with Jeff about some recent wins. Johnson Outdoors, Humminbird, Minn Kota has gotten at iCast this year and in years previous. He has built a tremendous brand. He's the brand manager over there. He's going to be talking to us about Humminbird 360, the new Raptor, side imaging, anything that we want to talk about with respect to Humminbird and Minn Kota products. He's the man. He's going to be with us later in the show tonight. So it's an amazing show, guys. There's a lot to learn tonight. We're going to be learning about this, the Berkeley flatworm with Maxcent, which I have some. They cannot.
Where'd you get those, Pete?
They cannot be obtained. I, as the dean of the Bass University, was dialed into the MLF on day one of competition, and I saw this bait absolutely dominate the catch. I immediately went on Tackle Warehouse and scored myself a dozen packs or so.
Got the wrong color.
Well, I've got a few different. I know I didn't have the color. They were out of a few colors already, but I've got a few Gobi colors, green pumpkin. I've got a few BTC.
Yeah. I got to stop over and
name the price.
Measure up that one window you said. You said that window's fogging up on you?
Yeah, I do. I need a door and two windows.
All right. Maybe let's deal.
Let's deal.
Let's deal.
But it's good to have you. BTC, I'm so proud of you. We had no internet tonight, guys. Well done. I don't know what you did, if you just got lucky.
I got lucky.
Yeah, it's what I didn't do. I didn't break anything.
I imagine you were close to that as we were as the pressure was building.
No, Rich and I just prepared and had a backup plan to go live tomorrow at 6:00. So we get a show in front of Pat's show tomorrow night, his Straycast show. So we were. I was messaging you guys, messaging our guests tonight, Justin Lucas and Jeff, and we were all ready for Plan B, but the internet fixed itself. So,
well, I'm glad it did. Glad we're on. Riz, good to have you with us, buddy. I hope all is good with you. I know we talked a little bit this morning, but we're going to be talking fishing tonight.
That's right. Excited about another Bass U Live here. And we already have a lot of folks on the message board checking in with us as I mute my computer. Pat Loudon, Cinco de Mayo, Matt E., Dale C., Ken, Travis. We got Josh, Caesar, NJ Dale Jr., Little Buck, Dan Roberts, Mike O., Lee C., David Toel, Adam Luand, Bernie, Patrick Bannister, PA Crankbait. We got a lot of people hanging with us already. It's going to be a great show. And we're excited to have everybody on with us.
We sure are. And I want you guys to give us some feedback, because some of you may be watching us on the brand new Bass University app, which is available on the Google store as well as the App Store. So whether you're Android or iOS, if you have a Bass University TV subscription, your login credentials work on the app. So go to the App Store, download it, and check it out. You can watch us right through the app and engage in IMs and all the things that you do on the website on your PC, but you can do it all on the brand new Bass U app. It's out there and it's available. And we also, of course, tonight we have to have them, the keeper of the scrolls, Ken Cyclopedia. It's great to have the great Ken Duke with us tonight.
I don't know about all that, Pete, but I'm glad to be here. It's always a blast to be on Bass University Live, and I'm intimidated by your audience out there. They seem to know everything there is to know about bass fishing. But we're going to test them again tonight. We're going to see just how good they are.
Well, you got them a little bit on the last show. It took a little while. That was impressive.
I think I slowed them down because there were a lot of letters to type to get the correct answer. When you have to type out American Fishing Tackle Manufacturers Association, That's going to slow this group down. They're anglers. They're not typers.
Well, it slowed them down a little bit, and I'm looking forward, excited to hear the questions tonight. And we've got so much going on. You guys are watching us over on Facebook. Like it and share it. We got a big prize for you guys, and we have prizes if we use your question on the air tonight. From our Bash University crowd, we're going to give you guys some cool prizes, and we've got a lot of other great stuff going on tonight, don't we, Riz?
That's right. As always, we're going to be taking your questions from bashu.tv/live. We'll get to a few over on Facebook, but we're going to be looking at mostly the website. So, guys, take advantage of an awesome program that we have available at Bashu TV. Over 700 videos, instructional content from the best bass anglers in the world, all with one focus to help you catch more big bass. And right now, you can try it for free for 30 days. Use the code BULive30. And you get to try out the whole program for 30 days, including be a part of tonight's show. You get with me on the message board, get your questions through, and if you get a question through tonight, we're going to send you a prize. But guys, if you're over on Facebook and you can't bring yourself to join up to the program at Bashu Live, still like and share the feed tonight, okay? And you're going to be entered in for a chance to win a prize at the end of the show. The Facebook like and share prize tonight, it's actually sitting right here on the table in front of me, so I'll go ahead and show you. It's a TH Marine Tackle Titan. It's a TH Marine Troll Jacket.
Whoa.
It's a Storm 360 search bait. It's a pack of Yum swim baits. And if I can reach it, it's a pack of Tokyo hooks, okay? It's a really good prize pack. It's valued at $75. So guys, like and share the feed. And while you do that, make sure your notifications are turned on so that you can stay up to date with everything we have going on at Bashu TV. We're constantly releasing new content. We're releasing new stuff, so we want to make sure that you are the first to see it. So turn those notifications on, like and share tonight's feed. But guys, really the juice is over at bashu.tv. In addition to the 700 videos on our website, if you get the grand prize trivia question tonight, we are hooking you up with over $150 worth of prizes. The prize pack tonight includes a TH Marine G-Force Cult System, a pair of Mike Iaconelli Signature Series sunglasses, a TH Marine G-Force Prop Nut, an RTD rod threading device, and a Rapala Rip and Wrap, guys. So it really pays to be a Bashu TV subscriber. You learn, you watch, you learn, you win, and you catch more big bass. So take advantage of the program tonight. BU Live 30. Try it for free for 30 days.
And get them Mike Iaconelli glasses.
X. I love those glasses.
Iaconelli.
Those are sweet glasses. I have multiple pairs in the boat at all times.
Yeah.
But
hey, so we got a quick trivia question to throw in here, Pete. Let's hit that one right out of the gate here, huh? What do you say?
Well, I was just gonna let everybody know that BTC had a big tournament this past Thursday with GDP, who can't be with us tonight. But you guys teamed up to score a dominant win.
Dominant. They won by like less than an ounce.
It's New Jersey, so that's dominant.
That's whitewashing.
They had 10-7 and we had like 10-6.
You had 10-3.
And they went to like foreign lands, basically cheated.
We made plays. That's what we did. We made plays.
To the Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Basically.
We went where no man's gone before, and I got to give it to Greg. It was a really, really fun day getting to fish with him. It's the first time I got to fish with Greg, so it was nice, man. I really enjoyed it. He was easy to fish with, man. We did his thing, and then we got done doing that, and we went and did my thing. So it was cool. It was a good time. Good time.
That's great. And Riz, you're right in there with second place money. I didn't realize that you had second place money.
Yeah, we came in second place to the
what was it?
Second place. we came in second place to the they might as well be called the Beach Boys because the way they were sandbagging at weigh-ins. Oh, you guys got more weight for sure.
Dude, I thought you did. You did.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So anyway, how about this trivia question though that somebody's going to get hooked up with an awesome prize. It's a Bashu Live official shirt and a Rapala jerkbait. So let's give that joker away.
Yep. So the question is, how many pounds, baby, how many pounds did Justin Lucas catch at this past week's of MLF event?
That's the trivia question we're going with?
Man, did we not just have a meeting about this, Peter?
I know. I heard completely
Did we
different.
not?
I heard that
throwing
Pete
them
was
the
delivering the first question on the first sheet.
I did too, but obviously he was about to deliver the wrong one, so I took over. Again, folks, pounds, not how much
Pounds.
does Pete not pay attention, but how many pounds did Justin Lucas catch at the Sturgeon Bay MLF event this past week? How many pounds?
Internet clearly is going out in Brian's mind this evening. And
Yeah, you might be right,
miscued
Pete.
a
I don't know.
How many pounds in the first 2 days?
During the entire event.
During the entire event.
Yes.
Yep.
It's in your notes.
Yeah. Well, I know. I watched him set the record on a single day catch, and then he went ahead and set the record for a 2-day catch
Yeah.
in the event. So it was spectacular.
I think it's important for all the Bass U folks out there to know that there is a real show plan and an outline. Otherwise, I would not be able to do this.
This is me. This is all my hard work.
It exists. Brian the Carpenter is putting that thing together and then
Throwing it out the window.
I try to look at it.
No one pays attention.
No, that's not true.
So are we planning to take a break and coming back for the answer to this trivia question, Brian?
Yeah. They're still working on that one.
Yeah, they're still working on that.
All
We
right.
got some close answers, but we're not quite there yet. I'll monitor it through the break, and first person to get it right on the message board will win the prize.
Yeah, you're probably right, Pete. I probably did screw that up.
You
Who
did.
knows? Yep. Whatever. I'm fried. Dude. Take it away, Peter.
All right, guys. Get this question
Ooh, we have a
together. If you haven't subscribed, get the app. Come over, get subscribed, watch us, check us out on the app. I want to know how you like it over there. We're going to be back in just a couple minutes with the winner
We have
of this prize, and we'll announce that when we come right back.
All righty. Give me 1 second. Somebody hid the commercial.
The micro jig rod from Cashin is not only a micro jig rod, it also works great for shaky heads, also works great for wacky worms, also works great for smaller finesse style swim baits. So 7 foot 1 inch, medium action, fast taper. You want a workhorse spinning rod, you might want to look at the micro jig rod. I got one, and then I had to end up getting 3 or 4. So the micro jig rod by Cashin, your next workhorse in your spinning rods.
Every moment on the water not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together, the One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant!
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail,
Happens every time.
the chain gang,
Broke it off.
the crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter. I could. Motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, The list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned, American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Bass University Live. And I know we just asked a trivia question before we took a commercial break, and we got lots of prizes we're going to be giving away to everybody's question that we use on the show tonight. So get your questions together. And without any further ado, Riz, let's give the prize winner his prize.
That is right. Caesar Casanova was the first correct answer to come through, and the correct answer for that question was 316. Justin Lucas had 316 pounds in total weight for the Major League Fishing event on Sturgeon Bay. Congratulations, Caesar Casanova. You won yourself some awesome prizes, a Bass U official shirt, and some hard baits. Congratulations.
That's a heck of a name, too, man. Congratulations,
Caesar, I'm afraid that can't be right. It's not possible to catch 316 pounds during an event. We might have to make a correction. But I actually, we're going to get straight from the mouth of the guy that did it. A friend of mine's been a friend of Bass University and a teacher here at Bass University for a lot of years. And I'm so proud and excited to watch him win that tournament, the great Justin Lucas.
What's happening? Am I live now?
Yeah, you are live now.
Okay. All right. Right on. Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it. It's nice to be back.
It's great to have you back. You sound like you're on the show over there at the Bass Pro Tour. I see the guys doing that all the time. Are we live? Can I talk now? Are we still live?
Yeah. Man, it was fun, though, dude. I don't know if you saw Bass Blaster today or not, Pete, but I gave you some love on there, man, because they were Jay Kumar was asking why I used a black bait on the last day. And I said, I guess it was 13 years ago now I drew you. I was your co-angler. And it blew me away, man, that you were using black at Champlain in crystal clear water. And I'll never forget you telling me how much northern fish love black. And every time I've been up north since then, I've always had black tied on. And that final day, I caught every fish on black. So kind of cool to be doing this podcast with you, interview now. And, I would definitely say you had a little part of that, man, for sure.
Man, I can't tell you how proud that makes me feel. And I
will never forget you kicking my butt on that black Senko, dude. He destroyed me on that. Well, I destroyed him on the smallies, but he destroyed me on the largemouth.
I even keep one in my office at all times.
There you go. There it is.
You never know.
That's hilarious.
You never know when you're going to need a black Senko.
13 years later.
Wow, was it 13 years ago? It was amazing. Mm-hmm. And, I know a lot of you had heard the story if you've watched Bass University. And shout out to Jay Kumar and the Bass Blaster, the greatest newsletter. Go get subscribed to that, especially now that I've been in it. It's really important for everybody to go get subscribed. But I wanted to ask another trivia question, being you brought this up. But 13 years ago, this was an FLW tournament. Is that right, Justin?
It was an FLW tour event.
Okay.
It was actually 2008, so it might have been 12 years ago. I was sitting here thinking about that. But man, I grew up in California. At the time I was 22. I didn't know what I was doing, hanging out in New York, fishing Lake Champlain, this place I always read about. I always remember reading about Michael Iaconelli talking about how much he loved it because you could catch a 4-pound largemouth and then the very next cast catch a 4-pound smallmouth. And then I drew you, and we had one of the most epic days ever. I had 19 pounds of smallies in one live well, and you had 19 pounds of largies in the other. And that was one of the most memorable days of my life, man. It was awesome, and it's so much fun to look back on.
Man, I think of it fondly as well, and we'll always be connected through that event. It's amazing, and but it didn't start out so fond for me. I remember that, and that goes to the trivia question, because I had found I think it was July, if I remember correctly. But
it was.
I'm guessing July because of what the fish were doing. They were schooling, and those smallies were pushing the yellow perch up. And at times, I remember they would come up around our boat. And I just had what I thought was the best place to start on the entire lake, you know. And we wheeled up there, me and Justin. I had, like I typically have, I had like 15 different things rigged for smallmouth, because you never know what they're going to go and want to bite from minute to minute. And we started fishing, and we were both catching them. But and this is where I recognized that Justin had some serious talent. Every time he set the hook, a 4-pounder was jumping, and every time I set the hook, a 3-pounder was jumping. Which was pretty.
I don't know if that's talent. At that point, it might just be luck. But
well,
you remember how they were swimming around the boat? We would watch them follow our jerkbait back. It was flat, calm, and sunny. And we'd watch them follow our jerkbait all the way to the boat. And before we could pull it out of the water, one would commit to it from those little packs they were running in. It was crazy. I never seen anything like that. That was amazing day.
Yeah, that was a blast. And that goes to the question, because the trivia question is, if you've watched, because Justin and I have shared this story before, and the question is, what jerkbait did Justin Lucas put the beat down on me early in the morning of that tournament? So you answer that. What's the prize if they get this question right, Riz?
The prize for this question is going to be another Rapala Rip and Wrap and a bass, or not a Rip and Wrap, a Rapala Rip Stop. Since it's going to be an awesome prize, they're going to get a Bass University official hat.
That's right.
Nice.
And it wasn't a rip stop, because the rip stop wasn't out 13 years ago.
Hey, somebody send me a direct message on Instagram. I'll give you the right answer. I'll hook it up.
But that was great. I remember we left, the smallies were just smashing and thrashing, and you had done your damage. I mean, you put your 19 pounds or pushing 20, and I had good 16 pounds, and then we switched gears and we went largemouth fishing. But I see you have some company there.
Yeah, my little guy just showed up. Come here, Cooper. Come here. Come here, Cooper. Say hi to everybody. Say hi.
Hey, Cooper.
Say hi, everybody.
Cooper, man.
Say I catch big bass. They're all real big bass.
What's the biggest bass you've ever caught? How's
the biggest one you've caught? How big? No big ones? Not yet. Real big ones? Yeah. Okay. Tell them bye.
Bye, Cooper.
All right, you play with your stuff.
Yep, we just had Vegas Iconelli on Ike Live giving us the lowdown on he dominated his local tournament just recently.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. I saw it. Did he have a trophy, or did he get a trophy or something?
He got 2, first place and lunker. So
what a stud, man. That's so cool.
Justin, did you hear how much weight he had?
No.
He weighed in 18.3
for 5.
For 5.
Dude.
A mixed bag of brown and green and brown.
In the state of New Jersey.
In New Jersey.
By himself. He called, I think he caught 7. He called twice, and second place in his division was 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Second place in the tournament was a 17-year-old with 10 pounds.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Good for him, man.
And we have a winner for that trivia question, by the way.
Already. Wow.
Yep.
I didn't even get an answer in DM on there.
Yeah. The
Justin, you tell us, what was the bait you were using?
It was a Mega Bass Vision 110.
Congratulations to Justin Lucas's frightened flatworm for getting the correct answer.
Yeah.
Is that the username?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's great.
Now,
yeah.
I remember because we had at the time the Pointer 100s were catching them. I was throwing that, and I was also catching them on the top water and spinner baits, and we were just around a pile of fish, Ken, and Justin he just kept catching bigger fish on that bait, and fortunately,
it was new back then. It was like the hot bait. It's what it's what a jackhammer is now or whatever. Dude, you gotta go. Bree said she was gonna be dancing behind me tonight, but she's not doing it. She just got done making dinner, so they're chilling. But she said, "I'm gonna come dance behind you if that's all right." I said, "Do whatever you want." I said, "Brian, I know Brian's not gonna have a problem with it."
I got no problems. I'm smiling ear to ear over here, man.
You guys were talking about the Megabass Vision 110. It's funny how a particular bait will win a big tournament or something like that, and it becomes the bait that everybody's got to have. And whether it's the chatterbait, whether it's the Senko, whether it's the Vision 110. Back in the 70s, it would be the old Fred Young Big O's. Justin, how much time do you spend actually experiment? You've got some amazing sponsors out there who make some of the finest stuff in the world, but how much time do you spend just kind of exploring what's new in the world of baits, trying to stay on the cutting edge of stuff like that?
That's a good question. I spend time right here looking at Tackle Warehouse. Honestly, I'll sit in front of this computer for an hour just browsing around, seeing what's out there and what I haven't seen yet. But what's cool about you saying that, Ken, is you say all those names, and I feel like right now the Berkeley flatworm is that thing, and Berkeley within the past, I've been working with them since 2007, and the past couple of years, it's been amazing. We came out with all the crankbaits, and then we did our topwater lineup, which I feel like that was a real big step in the right direction. Was all the topwaters that we did. I helped with those, and then of course all the stuff David did on the crankbaits, and now we've got the Fritz side, and then all the max scent stuff. And I think people used to, I'll just say it. I think people used to think of Berkeley as gimmicky or not taking them serious, but we got Jordan Lee winning on our stuff. We got Edwin Evers winning on our stuff. Me winning at Sturgeon Bay. It feels really good to be part of a winning team that has a lot of momentum right now. And there is absolutely 100% science behind the max scent stuff, especially with smallmouth. But we've also seen John Cox dominate on largemouth with a weightless general. And the one thing that I can say about using max scent versus anything else I've ever used, any brand, even Berkeley power bait, is you will find yourself getting your pliers more often than you ever have before because of how well the fish actually eat that bait. So the best way to explain it to somebody, if they haven't ever felt it before, it almost feels like old pork or something, like the old pork rinds, but we're able to make it in all the great shapes with the right actions and great colors too. And what it does underwater with, releasing that scent trail and just being able to disperse all that scent. For lack of a better way to put it, it's like chumming in the water, and smallmouth especially, they're like sharks in the water. They're on the prowl, they're hunting all day long. And if they can't see what they're going to eat, if they can smell it, they're going to find it and be able to see it. So I feel like it really hits, I've always said smallmouth are big time sight feeders, but next in line, they're big scent feeders. And when you're able to show them, if you miss them by a couple feet and they don't see it, but they're able to smell it more than anything else you can throw out there, I really feel like that's why I'm able to fish next to guys that aren't using max scent and then just outfish them, because I've done it. And I'm not sitting here bragging about me fishing next to these guys, but it's obvious. I've seen them take their hat off their head and literally scratch their head trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, man, if you only had some of these purple bag max scent power bait, you'd be all right. But of course, it's not secret anymore. People are going to be throwing it. I know they're all sold out on Tackle Warehouse right now, but it's unbelievable.
It's really cool that what has happened at Pure Fishing in the last couple of years. Of course, they got a new CEO in Harlan Kent.
Yeah, he is awesome.
An amazing job. And you guys are really telling the stories about these new baits. You mentioned David Fritz, the legendary crankbait guy, coming out with this new line of crankbaits and all the dredgers and that sort of stuff. But how much of a role do you have in some of these Berkeley baits that are coming down the pike of late?
Well, I didn't help develop Maxcent, but I helped Mark Sexton with the flatworm, and we went through I think probably like 6 or 7 baits before we finally had it right. And it doesn't need to be it's nothing outrageous shape wise, right? Like if you look at the shape, there's other shapes that are similar to it out there. It's short, it's stubby, kind of fat, and it has action. That's like, you got all those, you're good on a smallmouth bait. But what it has that every other one doesn't have is the Maxcent, pouring out of it constantly. It's just, imagine that bait with 1,000 little pores in it, and they're all just, letting scent out constantly. So I helped with that one a little bit. We all have input on a lot of things right now. Harlan is amazing. He's our CEO. John Slosher is next guy down, and John has he's been unbelievable. He calls us and texts us, and he wants to know our opinion on everything before they come to market with it. And when you have Edwin Evers, Jordan, me, Justin Atkins, Bobby Lane, Skeet, Ike, all the guys, it's like you're getting some really, really valuable information when you utilize it. And I think that's why the brand is really started to take off the last couple of years.
It's a powerful lineup. It's as good as any out there. And one of the things that's really impressive this year, a lot of people, since they didn't get a chance to physically go to iCast, may not be aware of what happened there. But after 2 years in a row of not winning any Best of Show awards,
right,
Your Fishing won 6.
That's crazy.
That's
I heard about that. That's awesome.
Everybody else.
Yeah,
really strong.
And same thing for me. Like I've been using Abu. I've been with Berkeley and Abu for years, and I've caught every fish on trilane fluorocarbon since 2007 when it first came out, and I've caught every fish on an Abu rod and reel since 2007. So, man, it's just we've had a lot of good stuff. Andrew Wheeler at Abu, he's amazing. Just our whole team right now, man. I'm really, really proud of them, and I'm like, I know it's corporate world and things will change eventually, but I'm like, man, if we can keep this direction for a while, we're going to kill it.
I bet you do.
You're certainly doing a wonderful job, and unfortunately, I couldn't get the black ones because they were sold out. But after day one, I was ahead of the curve. I got on the tackle warehouse while they were still fully stocked with a bunch of different colors, and I've got Ruby, and I've got a couple green pumpkin party colors. I've got some good ones. But
I don't think color matters. No offense to Matt Herring, but a couple of years ago at Lake Hawaii, he came up to me and he said, "You have any of that Maxcent?" I said, "Yeah, Matt, I'll give you a couple bags." I looked through all my stuff and I'm like, I can't give him my good stuff because I only got a few. I was like, "Here's a color. I don't think it's the best." He's like, "I don't care. I'll take it." Well, he came back the next night asking for the same color, and I'm like, I thought that was the worst color. I don't think it matters, man. Like Matt certainly didn't think it mattered, and yeah, I mean it's been out 2 years now, but I think this last week was the week that really hit the home run for Maxcent and is driving it home for people to, I mean, you can't watch Bass Live or not Bass Live, Major League Fishing, the Bass Pro Tour live last week, and MLF Now, and not look at it and just go, dude, what is he using? Like, it's insane, I mean, 141 pounds. I didn't expect to do that. Trust me. Like, I caught 2-3 pounders off that spot in practice, and I started there, and I'm like, if I could catch a few here, it'll be good. No way did I expect to catch 141 pounds off of one spot.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable, and you just can't argue with it, and that's one thing I will give credit big time to Major League Fishing this year is our 2-pound minimum, in my opinion, has made a huge difference in what I call they're trying to merge, they're trying to merge fans of bass fishing with new fans. And how do you do that? Well, the new fans, they're okay with all the fish, they don't understand. They're just impressed by how many fish we're catching. But the people that know and that go out there and fish those bodies of water, they're not impressed with anything under 2 pounds. They're impressed with everything over 2 pounds. So what's cool is that we were able to set that 2 pound minimum. Really, in my opinion, it set a high bar. And now we're able to merge it where guys that tournament fish can watch our show and go, dude, he's catching quality fish. I want to know what he's using. Because when I get my butt kicked, the first thing I do is go get on the Major League Fishing app, and I pull up live, and I'm watching it on the way home as I got my butt kicked. And trust me, I've got my butt kicked a bunch the past year and a half. So I've watched a lot of our live, and I think this year has been much better with us targeting bigger fish. It's made me a lot happier. I know that.
Well, it's been fun to watch. It really has, and I enjoyed watching you set the records. And I'm glad you broke 200 pounds. That was pretty cool. I was worried you were going to put your rod down and not go for it.
Well, dude, so I was fishing, and Cliff Crochet and Justin Atkins, they're like 200-300 yards away, and I'm stuck on 195, and I'm just totally like kind of not caring, just practicing around. Just trying to see if there's one here, one there, not really trying to catch one. And they're both yelling at me, 200, Cliff in his cage, and 200.
Perfect.
So I'm like, man, I guess I gotta try and catch a couple. So I ended up catching a 3 and a 2.5 or something, and busted the 200. And I'll never forget Cliff Crochet yelling and 300 yards away, screaming at me for busting 200. But it was kind of cool after I did it. I was like, you know what? That's kind of special. Not that many guys can say that.
Heck yeah. Nobody can say that.
Yeah, I guess right now I'm not anyone.
Justin,
you're the leader.
How awkward does Cliff look using a spinning rod?
Man, I want to take him smallmouth fishing because he came up to me and he asked me, he's like, just tell me something. And I'm like, I need to take him. I need to trade him a trip. He could take me to the swamp, the Chapalaya Basin, and I'll take him smallmouth fishing. I think that would be a fair trade because you put a flipping stick and braid or a frog in that guy's hands, and he's as dangerous as anyone. But with the spinning rod, he's out there dobbing around. He's trying to make it happen, but he might have been better at fishing for largemouth.
He wasn't alone looking awkward with his spinning rod during that tournament.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Justin. I've been dying to ask you this question for months now, and I haven't found an excuse to just pick up the phone and call you about it.
All right.
I got to compliment you on your beautiful pronunciation of the Chapalaya Basin. Really nice for a guy from California to nail that.
Well, I drove over it about 50 times before I moved to Alabama, so had to get that right.
What is it with you and a lot of very talented other young anglers and the right-hand retrieve on a spinning outfit? Guys are casting right-handed and then changing the spinning rod over and reeling right-handed. What the hell?
For me, when my uncle first gave me a bait caster when I was 12 years old, it had a right-hand retrieve. And I throw a baseball right-handed, bat right-handed. I do right-handed, everything right-handed. But when he gave me that reel, and that I'll never forget it, it was like this neon green and black bait caster. I was 12 years old, and I'm like, well, the button is over here, and you're supposed to reel over here. And the way I looked at it, I just thought, I'm supposed to cast left-handed. And I did that. I think I did it on my first spinning reel, too, because whoever gave it to me, I don't remember my spinning reel, but it must have been right-handed, too. And I was doing it with my spinning reel, and I looked at that bait caster and didn't think anything about it. So I cast left-handed on everything. It's literally like the only thing I can do left-handed. I can't do anything else left-handed.
I think there are a lot of guys, though, who are casting right-handed, changing hands with a spinning outfit. I think Wheeler does it.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, that's been one of the great advantages of a spinning.
I don't know.
You don't have to change hands with it.
I saw a lot of guys doing it.
Yeah, I always just thought it was weird no offense, because I know most people probably do this, but why would you reel left-handed on one and right-handed on the other? Like, either go all in one way, or full send the other. So I'm full send on the right hand, spinning and bait cast.
Well, the way you do it, it looks like a hot knife through butter. And not a lot of guys do look like that. And I saw that, like Kelly Jordan, I love him. but man, oh man, did he lose some big fish.
I heard about that
in that tournament, and he looked like he was going to lose them. Like,
you know the problem with him though. I talked to him at that event.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went up to him the day he got cut, and I asked him if he made it. And he knows. He wouldn't be afraid for me to say this on here. His hook was just too big. He was using way too big of a hook on. He had. Well, I won't say what he had, but it would make me happy. So you guys know. It made me happy to see what he had on his rods. But yeah, so he just, the hook was too big. I learned a long time ago. I try and get away with the smallest hook I can for those smallmouth. My goal is just to penetrate the mouth. When I can penetrate the mouth and I get the barb past the mouth, I back that drag off. And that's why if you watch the show, like I kept telling myself, just execute, execute, execute. Make sure every fish catch, make sure you land every bite anyway. And it also reminded me, back the drag off, like play them out, because those little tiny hooks, they poke them and they stick there and they can't throw them. And I see guys using too big of hooks, and when you use those big hooks, it just helps them throw them and make a bigger hole when they're fighting you, and they're gonna come off. Period. I've never lost. I had one that jumped, and I know it jumped right at the boat and did a somersault, and its gill landed on my line. Like I saw it that close and just snapped my line, so it would have broke anything. And then I had a couple break the actual hook, and I was just fighting them too hard. And I won't throw that brand under. It's not a Berkeley; it's another brand. Not gonna throw them under the bus, but it made me. I was probably like, I caught 70 something fish, probably lost like 4 or 5. So I'm probably like 92, 93%, something like that. And I'm still not totally satisfied with it because it wasn't perfect, And I don't know that you can be perfect landing 80 plus bites, but man, I want to get there. I want to get as close as I can. And there's got to be a hook out there that's the perfect little number 2 hook. And to be fair, I haven't thrown our Berkeley Fusion hook a whole lot, and I'm gonna practice with it a lot more because it's kind of got that like Teflon coated stuff, and I think that might make it a little bit stronger and play into my advantage.
Wow, it's Rob Jordan who guides and does some
he's
training
for a bass stud.
He is, and he's using a number 4 drop shot hook.
Yeah,
and teaches some on water stuff with us. So
that's cool.
Number 2, you're a little bit bigger than that, but still very, 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 very small. And I know guys are switching. They're trying. They're losing them. I know Ike has altered his drop shot hook around a little bit, and he's doing some different things. And I don't drop shot enough to really settle on it, but it's surprising all the smallmouth fishing I do. I keep the drop shot rods not in my hand that often. So I'm glad to get this lesson from you and from Rob, and I'm going to be incorporating it here in the near future. And guys, I know we got a lot of questions in the queue, and we're we use your question on the air. We're going to be giving you some good prizes, and I think this is actually probably a good time for me to switch gears and open the floor to the Bass U audience. Cool. I know they've got a lot of questions. Riz, why don't you get started?
Great. The first question is going to come in tonight from Little Buck 3, and Little Buck 3 wants to know, Justin, how do you adjust your drag settings accordingly while you're fishing for smallmouth?
So that's an awesome question. Number 1, I never use like the back reeling. Never. So a high quality spinning reel to me is always important, if nothing else, just for the drag, because you're using light line. You're putting yourself in a vulnerable situation when you hook a 4 or 5 pound smallmouth. You need a reel that's gonna be able to favor that drag and be able to put it out there smoothly. So yeah, I mean, what I do, I like to tighten it down. I like to hook them good, tighten it down and hook them good. And if you watch me at all last week, almost every time you see me start backing it off. And no, Ike kills it. He'll straight feed it. Ike's like, he's just pulling on it constantly. And I don't do that, but I will if they get to the boat and they start running and I need to feed them more. But I'll back it off so much that it's basically no win one way or the other. You know, it's just like if I reel, the drag is pulling, and if they pull, the drag is pulling. But my goal is to tire them out, and that's why when I get them up next to the boat, most of the time, not every time, I'm able to scoop them up a lot faster than some of the other guys.
And are you a line grabber, or do you not purposefully?
Never, dude. Never. I can't stand watching live and watching a guy grab the line. I'm like, I mean, I kind of, it's fun because I'm like Timmy Horton at Okeechobee a couple of years ago. He lost like a 9-pounder, you know, and I'm like, oh, Timmy, don't grab the line. So I'll put my, I put my hand way back with the rod, and I put my hand at the top of my rod and follow the line down until I get to the fish.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key, right? So like if he wants to run, all I have to do is let my hand off. And as he gets closer and softer, I keep running my hand down. And then when he's finally ready, he's right there. And by that time, my hand is slid all the way down by him. And you can either lip them or belly scoop them, and they're in the boat.
I see that like to critique, armchair quarterback here, watching guys. The fights last like 2 minutes, 3 minutes per fish, and you could see guys getting anxious towards the end of the fight, and so many times they would do that line grab, and I saw Rombanis lose a couple doing that, and I saw a lot of guys are successful, right? A lot of guys it works and they get them in, but it seems like
that fish has to be waving the white flag for me to grab the line, dude.
Yeah,
it's got to be total surrender. Like
you and Jacob Wheeler and Jordan Lee are the three smoothest guys that I've seen land fish from, watching this tournament.
That's cool.
You guys all three were relaxed, in control, and patient. And
patience is key, man. Like I had one penalty the whole entire tournament. I think I caught more fish. I think I caught the most fish. I don't know if I caught the most fish or not, but assuming I did, like one penalty, man. And it didn't matter if it was 10 inches or 14 inches or 20 inches, I was going to get down on the side of the boat that week. I told myself after the first two I hooked, I'm like, I'm not boat flipping a single fish all week. I'm going to get down. I'm going to take my time. And I never lost one right next to the boat.
Nice. Well, it showed, and you're very smooth out there. Riz, let's hit Justin with another question.
Sounds good. Travis Lalonde wants to know, Justin, do you get more bites when you're moving the drop shot frequently or when you're dead sticking it?
I think the smallmouth, the key, I did an interview earlier today, and I think the key is dropping it as much as you can. So my goal when I go smallmouth fishing, it's almost like, imagine if you were flipping for largemouth. You flip, cut that in half. Cast, let it hit the bottom, shake it a couple times, reel it in. Cast, let it hit the bottom, shake it a couple times, reel it in. So very rarely am I fishing that thing. The only time I'm going to fish it further than just a couple of shakes back towards the boat is if I know there is a pile of fish there. Then I'll drag it around. But man, there is something. I watched Kevin Van Dam years ago fishing for smallmouth in the St. Lawrence River, and he'd throw it out there, let it hit the bottom, click the bail over, shake it, reel it in. Just kept doing that. And there's really something to that for smallmouth with the drop shot. Ned rig or something like that, totally different. You can drag that, a tube, drag it. But a drop shot, they love that thing falling in front of their face, and then it stops before it hits the bottom.
Like
I still think to this
water.
day, you're fishing fast
but slow.
with a slow-moving bait.
Right.
And
right.
It's really, to me, it's really like that, and flipping for largemouth is the only time you do that.
Wow.
Justin, do you find that that's, and this isn't a message board question, this is just a me question, do you find that that's an effective way of practicing, searching to find fish, keeping the trolling motor on steady, casting the drop shot out in front of you, kind of, shaking it a few times, working your way up, and just stay moving? Like, will they generally tell you if you get around them?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Like, that's a fantastic question. Nobody's asked me that. I've done like 10 interviews since I won. Nobody's asked me that, but that is pretty much how I practice. Like,
Union Lake.
I cover as much water as I possibly can. I mean, in practice, I went up there and I had 6 drop shots even tied on in practice and 7 in the tournament. And my goal when I went up there in practice was to pick a drop shot up, cover as much water as I possibly can until I find them. Once you find them, you can slow down. You know, you can make your pitches closer to the boat, like tighter together, and really pick apart the area. But until then, I'm making pretty far pitches and just got that trolling motor on high, burning around.
Follow-up question to
Riz, give yourself a prize for asking that question.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do. I'm gonna Pete. I'm gonna
rip off in a Basu hat, buddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna. My prize is I'm gonna take off for like the next 3 weeks. I'm gonna run up the credit card here. Got another question, and I think it pertains to this pretty good because, you know, the angle of your line is obviously going to change depending on the length of your cast. You know, if you cast out further and you have a 12-inch leader as opposed to dropping straight down with a 12-inch leader, your bait is going to be at a different level in the water. And with that being said, Pat Loudon wants to know, what is your go-to your line size for your drop shot, but also the leader length on your drop shot from hook to weight?
So I use 8-pound Berkeley X5 crystal braid. I'll be the first one to tell you, before this line came out from Berkeley, I used to use another brand. But once we had X5 and I used it, I tested it a couple times before they came out with it. I literally gave everything else I owned to the local high school kids here in Guntersville, because the X5 and X9, they're the 2 best braids I've ever used. And the X5 in crystal in 8-pound, it's white, so I can see it. That's really, really important. I put a 7-foot leader of 8-pound trilene fluorocarbon, and then my weight to hook, honestly, is anywhere from, it just depends how good I tie it or how bad I tie it, but 12 to 18 inches. That 4-inch difference or 6-inch difference, I don't trip about that. It's because here's the thing: when I throw it out there, I throw it on slack. Like when it hits the water, I open the bail and it falls straight down on slack line. So it doesn't matter how far that bait is away from the boat; it falls that far away or right next to the boat, the exact same, because it falls on slack line every single time.
So it's bail open. Do you find you need to feed line, or it just comes off that spinner rod so smooth you don't need to do anything?
Yeah, it just depends how deep you are, right? Like if you're in 15 feet, you make a long cast, you don't need to feed it anything. It's just gonna fall straight down. If you're in 30 feet or 35 feet, number one, I would up my weight to a ½ ounce just to get to the bottom quicker. And then, yeah, you might need to, kind of pull your rod up a couple times as it's sinking just to let some line out there. But the goal every time is never for that thing to pendulum back to the boat, anything like that. You want it falling straight down. I promise you that.
Let me ask you about hooking the bait. Are you piercing the nose, or are you just slightly, or keeping the bait on the end of that hook? I do that sometimes to reduce line twist.
Yeah, I had really good success this week, just bringing a drop shot the old fashioned, just old fashioned, man. Like I did it in practice and I didn't lose any, and I was hooking them in practice because you want to know. The first area I went to in practice, I caught nothing but 1-pounders. I'm like, this isn't gonna do it. It's not what I'm looking for. And anyway, so I caught a lot of fish in practice, and I never lost any the old-fashioned way. And so I didn't change it.
The old-fashioned way. You're talking about like that,
just like that. Yep.
Nose hooking it. Okay,
yep. Just like that.
How are you managing line twist?
I think, believe it or not, at the end of the second period on the final day, you guys might have seen me frustrated, like yanking line off. Like I finally twisted my line up enough on the final day. But other than that, that was one rod. Other than that, all I ever did was change the leaders. So I never had a problem.
Wow. Yeah, that line twist is one of the things that always frustrates, especially when you're casting a lot like you are, casting and reeling.
Well, I'll say this on a spinning rod. One thing I've learned is you're better off if you're using braid on a spinning rod to underfill the rod than overfill it, or the reel. You're better to underfill the spool than to overfill the spool, because you're going to get more line twist or you're going to get more wind knots, and it also seems like you get more line twist, more issues. So I've started like underfilling my spool, and I've had way less issues. Period.
What?
Like, that's made a huge difference.
That's the answer. Brian, blow your hair back moment at the Bass University. Underfill your spools. See, look at that.
With braid.
It blew all Ken's hair off.
It blew all of Ken's hair right off. No, that's an awesome tip because I am often I fill my spools up, and I'm always looking for an answer to manage my line twist when I'm drop shotting.
I used to fill them up. It was just habit, and I noticed myself always having line twists and always having to re-spool braid. I'm like, I shouldn't have to do this. I should have to put braid on once a year and not have an issue. And it didn't matter. This is when I used other brands other than the Berkeley X5. But even with the Berkeley X5, I'm like, this is the deal. Underfill it. Don't overfill it. I go as far as like, setting the spool down, walking the line out, knowing I have 80, 90, 100 yards on there, reeling that up, and I'm good to go. Like, I know the spool's only halfway full, but I know I got 100 yards of braid on there, and that's plenty of line.
Man, you're going to change my drop shot fishing forever.
I hope so.
I was going to say, when you talk about underfilling the spool, I had no idea you were talking about maybe only halfway.
Yeah, like halfway.
Wow.
That is significant. That's dramatic. We're gonna write that one down. And
it doesn't affect casting distance really either. So totally worth it.
With that light 8-pound diameter, so small, that's an amazing solution. We're gonna give it a try. Riz, who else do we have on the IMs?
We got a question from Matt E, and Matt E wants to know, do you ever switch to larger size drop shot baits, and if so, what situations?
I think I got Cooper in here again, bringing all his wooden toys. Okay. Yeah. That's a great question, but yeah, I don't ever use bigger than the flatworm, and it's 3.5 inches, 3.6 inches. The only thing I'll use bigger than that is a 4-inch Berkeley Maxent General wacky rig, but other than that, I don't use anything bigger. I think smallmouth, they just love shorter, fatter things. And, the Maxent, the flatworm, or the General, both of those, like, you don't need to go bigger than that for smallmouth. Not that I've found, anyway. Come here, Coop.
Coop's weighing in. I watched you fish, and it was pretty awesome. You were, the first 2 days when you were setting the record, you were sitting there watching. You were watching an area that you were looking to go to, a different type of habitat, and you kept talking about it. Like, I see the area. Nobody's over there fishing, and you were able to save your best area for last. That was pretty special.
Well, and it doesn't. That's the thing. Like, some people heard from maybe a couple other interviews. I told my wife I thought I could win this tournament, but things also need to line up perfectly. There you go. Sorry, dude, he's crazy. He's 2.5. Don't judge us.
No, I love it. I miss when Jake was 2.5. Now he's 10 years old and he's stuck on video games. I can't hardly talk to him these days.
I hear you. So, I didn't know that area where. Sorry, buddy. We'll talk fishing in a little bit. Okay. So yeah, that area I started. The only reason I started there is with 5 minutes to go. there was nobody there the first day, 5 minutes before he said lines in. And I couldn't believe that. Go on, Coop. I'm sorry, buddy. I'll be right back. There was nobody there with 5 minutes to go, and I couldn't believe it. I'm like, man, that was such an obvious spot. I caught a couple 3-pounders there, and I was expecting to catch them out of all these grass clumps that I had marked on this big flat. And this big flat is about 2-3 miles long, and they spawn all over this thing. And so the grass flat was an area where I just tried to catch them at that first place where they were moving out to. And how I found out that they were not spawning anymore is I went up there, I threw a topwater around, I threw a jerkbait around, and I'm looking at the bottom. You know, it's going to tell you a lot. Looking at the bottom, it's beautiful gravel bottom with grass clumps and stuff, but there's no beds. And the water temp was in the mid-70s. So it told me instantly, these guys are gone. They have left here. So I went out about, I'd say, a mile off the bank. It's a huge flat. I got out in 12, 14, 15 feet of water, and I started getting around these isolated grass clumps and started catching fish. So I just kind of marked it all. This is in practice. I was catching nice fish and no one around. Couldn't believe it. No one around. And then I went over to this really obvious point and caught a bunch of fish there, a couple 3-pounders, some 2 whatevers. And in the first day of the tournament, I went to start on the grass flat, and I could see the point. I'm like, there's nobody over there. So I went over there, I idled over it, and this is another tip for you. If you can ever see smallmouth bass on down imaging, down scan, whatever you run, if you can ever see them below you, you better stop and fish. Because I idled over that spot, and I saw 7. And I'm like, I'm starting here. I told my guy, he said, all right, we got 4 minutes and 37 seconds, whatever. So I put the trolling motor down, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, dude, I can see him on my 2D everywhere. I cannot wait to drop. Can't wait to make a cast. And then I sat there all day and caught 141 pounds. And I only saw 7 when I idled over it. So if you guys want a really good tip, basically, if you're ever smallmouth fishing, if you don't see one, that doesn't mean they're not there. And if you do see them, you better not run somewhere else. You better put that trolling motor down, because I promise you, if you see them on down image, they are there.
So you're saying if they're bold enough to stay, or you can catch them in your cone at idle or on trolling motor, that there's probably 10 times what you see.
Dude, I'm telling you, when I idle, I think they're spooked. I think they get spooked from the boat, and I think they move outside the cone. But when I put the trolling motor down and I started fishing, I'm like, there's hundreds here. Hundreds. And I caught one I did the math. It was every 9 minutes. I weighed one every 9 minutes. That doesn't count the fight and rigging a bait back up and all that stuff,
Good
so
gosh.
And I never moved. So, and all I saw was 7. That's a huge tip right there, And the bigger tip there is, honestly, I haven't said this anywhere else yet. I'm saying it to you guys. I love you guys, but don't look for the fish. Look for the cover. Don't look for smallmouth when you're idling. I never expect to see a fish on my graph. All I look for is cover. And if the cover looks good, then I fish it. They are very curious creatures. I was going to say they're not very smart. They're pretty dumb. And the best info I ever got about smallmouth was a guy telling me, Justin, I only ever have 5 rods on the deck of my boat. It's a really good friend of mine up at St. Clair. He's a really good fisherman up there. And he said, his name's Wayne Macklin, by the way. He said, I only ever have 5 rods on the deck of my boat. He said, these fish are not that smart. And so what I've learned is I graph and I look a lot. And when I see stuff that looks good, I stop my boat and then I turn around and fish. And as you're fishing, they're so curious about what the shade is of that boat or what that trolling motor noise is. If they're there, you start seeing them on 2D. And if they're not there, you don't see them. so you leave. I mean, you're getting the juice right now, man.
That is some juice.
It is. It's taken me I moved out here 10 years ago. It's taken me about 7 years of fishing the Great Lakes to really learn that.
Well, I have a tip that I learned in fishing the Great Lakes that I'll share. Beans we're sharing the goods, and it's a little bit different because when I had to learn Lake Erie and the big Great Lakes and the massive, you get these little shoals and the great habitat and when I found fish, I found a group of fish. What I did was I backed off of them and I got up on pad and I ran over them at 30 miles an hour to see what they look like at 30 miles an hour and see if I could see them at 30 miles an hour, and I could.
Wow.
And I realized that this is pretty unique because if I idle over them, I don't see them like you just said. And but if I hit them at 30, where my sonar is, I'm not overdriving my sonar,
Yeah, man.
And I could just run and increase my odds of hitting a school of fish.
And that's with a through
really
hole.
cool.
That's with a through hole system, Pete.
That is.
Wow.
Yep.
That's really cool.
So
I haven't tried that deep. I'm gonna drive back up to Sturgeon Bay tomorrow and give it a shot.
Start testing theories.
Yep. Yeah. I did it once before at down at Douglas Lake. I remember because you know how Douglas those fish will suspend, or a lot of places they do, and you can't catch them. And all of a sudden you wheel up on a point and you're catching them like crazy. And and it was so hard to do because you're catching them on every cast to put your rods down and drive over them to see what they look like on your sonar. And it's amazing because the ones you can't catch are all suspended and up off the point, but those ones that are feeding, man, they are tied to the bottom. And but once again, trying to figure out how you can drive fast and find them was helpful to me when you're trying to
Well, hey, like you just said, dude, that's the other thing. I think the smallmouth get spooked by the boat, but I also think they hold so tight to the bottom. I think when you actually find a big school, when you idle over them, I think they're stacked on top of each other, where it finally forces them up 2 feet off the bottom, where you can really see them when you're idling.
Right.
Because I can't tell you how many big smallmouth I've caught on my trolling motor on 2D, watching it, and all I see is a color change on the bottom. There's no separation from the fish to the bottom. All I see is a color change, and I'm like, dude, there's a fish right there. And I reel up, drop straight down, and I've caught some of the biggest smallmouth doing that. And they're curious. I'll tell you the craziest story. I've got two crazy stories about smallmouth. One of them is in the tournament, Pete, that you and I fished. I drew another guy the next day. He was fishing the same area. We're on that big giant flat up there. And with 30 minutes left until we had to run back, I remember the first day I was in first place. So I'm sitting there praying to God. I'm like, God, please just give me one more fish. I got 4 and it's 2:30. He's like, we got to leave at 3. And I remember, dude, dipping my head down, literally praying. And I looked, and there's a 3.5-pound smallmouth right next to this guy's outboard in 17 feet of water.
Come on.
In the middle of this flat, dude, in the middle of nowhere. This fish is on the surface in 17 feet, chilling next to our boat. So I was throwing a tube. I burned this tube in, and I dipped like it even mattered, right? This fish is next to a boat. I'm dipping away, and I dropped my tube right next to this guy's outboard, and I just I don't have sonar off the bat, he didn't have it on. So I just let it go all the way to the bottom. Clicked the bail, caught it, 3.5-pounder. So I only caught 5 fish that second day after fishing with you. One of them was that fish. So that told me, dude, these are very, very curious, creatures. They are chilling next to humans right under them, right under the shade of the boat. And the other thing is in Lake Havasu, I was fishing as a pro one time, and I was fishing these beds, and you could see the dark spots. you can super clear water. You can see 20 feet deep, but I can see these beds in 10 feet, and I'm drifting with this wind. And I go and I catch one here, catch one there, and I see this spot like 20 feet in front of the boat. And I go to cast my drop shot, and I watch my worm just fly off. Midair, it's gone. So I click the bail over, I reel it in, I set it on the side of the boat, and I get in the bottom of the boat to get another worm on. All of a sudden, my rod just takes off. And I just grab the butt of my rod, and I'm holding it, and the drag's pulling. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. My co-angler's like, what the hell is going on? I'm like, dude, my line breaks. Pow, breaks. I'm like scratching my head. I don't know what just happened. So I rig a drop shot back up, turn the boat back around. This is before spot lock or whatever. Turn the boat back around, throw it right back on that spot. This was 10 feet of water. It was a 3 3/4 pounder, almost a 4 pounder. Swam up to the surface and ate my number 2 drop shot hook.
Good night.
Number 2 with nothing on it, dude.
Wow.
So, like, if you don't, these fish they're really smart, but they're really dumb at the same time, right?
Yep.
Like, both of those fish ate right next to the boat. I couldn't believe it, man. But that both taught me. It taught me how important white line was, and it taught me how important it was. Like, if you think you're in a good area, hang around for a few minutes and see what comes under your boat, because that's what I do ever since that Champlain tournament. I'm like, I'm not leaving here unless I give it 10 minutes just to see if I see anything coming towards my boat.
See what that taught me, Justin, is just how stupid the Senko is, because well, the fish are really stupid, and obviously they're eating bare hooks, and that's why the Senko is so effective, because that's really stupid too.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's why it works,
dude,
Pete. Your simplistic brilliance.
Those are the 2 craziest stories I have in fishing. I mean, seriously, I've been fishing for 20 years, and that's just, I know other people got crazy stories, but.
Well, those are great stories. And Riz, on the post-production, I'd like you to edit out Brian Senko dialogue, please.
Hey, but by the way, I want to jump in real quick. Me and Rich fished Sunday morning. Was it Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Sunday morning, yeah. Got up at like 3 a.m., got on the water in the dark, fished, tried to get a night bite going on, and actually didn't. And as soon as, and it's a true story, I'm throwing a spinnerbait, chatterbait, Rich is throwing a buzzbait. We're starting to get that, like, the sun that just starting to come up, or we're starting to get some, like, that little bit of light. First cast, I put my chatterbait down, first cast with a drop shot, and it was a flatworm.
That a boy.
Oh yeah, I got 1 pack, and now I got like 3 left, but so I catch one on it, right? So we're fishing around, and Rich catches one, catches like a 4 pounder, right? So while he's fighting it, or actually while he's enjoying it, looking at it, I hook up with one. So I'm like, yo, dude, don't let that go yet. Let's get a double pick, right? So I get my fish in the boat, and he had put his in the live well because we're going to take a double pick. I didn't want to hold it out in the air. So while I'm getting my fish in, he already makes a cast. So I'm like, all right, well, I threw my fish in the live well. I make a cast. I'm like, all right, well, let's get that pick. So I set my phone up. I put it on put the timer on it, and we're fumbling in the live well to grab the fish. While we're doing that, he's like, yo, your rod. I reach over, my spinning rod's like just gets caught on the gunnel of the boat, as the reel gets caught on the gunnel of the boat as it's being pulled in the lake. And one had picked up the drop shot with the flatworm as it was sitting out there.
Probably swallowed that thing.
Oh yeah. And it was we caught it all on the GoPro. Whenever Rich gets off the footage, we'll post it.
Nice.
Right, Rich?
Well,
That's right.
they are curious, and they will get under the boat. And one of the things I do too, based on what along the lines of what you're saying, Justin, is I drop my poles when I'm out there, and I found that they'll come and they'll suspend around the tips of your poles, even if you're in 12 or 20 feet of water. It just gives
that's a hot tip right there, dude.
And I'll do it when I'm even real shallow. And I've seen Mike do that. I was watching him do it in this tournament, but especially when you catch one and there's multiple fish that come with it. I've seen a lot of times those partners, as you're unhooking the fish, they just sit there in the shade of your boat.
Dude, it's craziest thing.
Yep.
That's why they're so cool.
Yeah.
And you can't argue with how cool they are, man. That's
the best.
That's why I was so happy to finally win on them, because I think they're the coolest bass. Like, I can catch my biggest largemouth is 13.9, and that's amazing. But I actually caught my official PB in practice at Sturgeon Bay. It was 6.7, and I was probably more proud of that fish than even my 13.9. And it was like they're just special, man. They're and you know what's special is every time I catch, or like if I go out and practice and I feel like I find a couple really good areas or whatever, I feel like I'm catching fish that I've never seen a bait before. And that's what's cool to me is it's like, I don't know, it's like you're rewarded for finding that spot maybe where those fish set up and they've never seen a bait before, rather than trying to entice fish that have seen a bait, trying to convince them to bite again. And I know I have found rocks and things at the St. Lawrence River that no one's ever fished. And I just have. I spent 20 hours idling the St. Lawrence River. A lot of people don't know this, but the year I won AOY, I tripped on Brandon Polinick's dog. I still have 100% torn ligament in my right wrist. Dang. And it's going to be a major surgery one day. I don't want to get it. I dread the day I have to get it done. But it forced me to idle the St. Lawrence River for 20 hours because I couldn't fish. And I learned more doing that than I've ever even learned fishing for. Sure. And that's what was cool.
Yeah.
So just go tear your ligament in your wrist. You'll figure the smallmouth out.
I'm not sure that's the takeaway, but it's we're hogging it. I love talking and swapping stories, but our people that I want to give the floor back for some IMs. I know they have a lot of questions for you too. So Riz, why don't we hit you with another question or two?
Yeah, Mike P wants to know, at what point during the tournament did you start targeting fish utilizing your forward-looking sonar?
That's a good question, man. I mean, I was sponsored by a sonar company actually every year since I've been a pro, and this is the first year I didn't. I wanted to utilize forward-looking sonar, and it's a great question. I bought everything on my boat, electronics wise, I bought this year myself. And, I was glad I did it. Honestly, I was glad I did it from the beginning of the year, even when I was getting my butt kicked. But I could see them, as I started putting pressure on spots, that's when that thing started really paying off, because as I would put pressure mainly on my main spot, I could kind of see where they shifted to, one way or the other. And that thing definitely helped me. I would say probably helped me catch 15-20% more fish than I probably did.
How roughly. So? Identifying the fish or identifying the habitat? How was it helping you?
The fish.
Okay.
The fish, yeah. I could see, after when you idle over them and you see them and you mark, you kind of set your perimeters. You don't care so much, especially in a spot like that was so good. I didn't care so much about using the forward sonar, but after it had been beat up by me the first day, I'm sure some guys fished it on day 2. And then on day 3, when I was back out there, I had a little bit of company, and I was like, man, these fish are getting pressured. They're moving. So I started scanning around, looking for maybe where they moved off to. And that was the main time that it really started paying off.
Gotcha.
Or paying off.
Yeah. Now, did you started fishing grass on the last day? Were you visually able to see the grass, or were you using your sonar?
Most of that was a lot of that was just waypoints from side scan.
Okay.
Just spending every time we had a ride around. So I had 3 ride arounds for basically 40 minutes because I launched right there and I didn't have anywhere else to go that I wanted to go. So I had 120 minutes extra on top of practice of idling around. So I idled this whole flat, and I side scanned everything out there and found all these like little tiny clumps of grass that stuck out a little bit further than the rest. And I would just mark it. So when I would get up to those waypoints, I already had a perimeter set, and I'd use the forward sonar a little bit. I even have 360. I'd use that a little bit, and I'd use 2D too, because again, they're curious. So you kind of have to look at everything. And I wouldn't say that one was more important than the other. The most important by far was side imaging.
And using that at practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finding that.
Again, finding structure, not looking for fish, but finding cover and structure.
Have you experimented with the high-speed side imaging? Like, I know Aaron is doing some stuff with that, and I'm curious about it.
I haven't, but I've heard stories, but nothing that I can, confidently talk about.
Well, you should. When you're done talking to us tonight, we never want to let you go, but we're eventually going to have to let you go. But we're gonna be talking with the guys at Humminbird, and I'm gonna be asking them that question about high speed side imaging. Whether that really works or is just a farce. But I know some guys are talking about using it for sure.
Yeah, I've just heard stories as of right now.
Yep.
But there's stories that intrigue me.
Yeah, I suspect maybe some people are keeping it quiet.
Yeah.
Keeping that secret. Riz, you got another question for Justin?
I do. NJ Dale Jr. would like to know from you, Justin, what is your ideal rod and reel setup for drop shot fishing?
Yeah, so I only use two. Like, I own two different drop shot setups. I own a 7-foot medium heavy and a 7-foot medium as far as rods go. And I put a 30 size reel on both of those. For open hook drop shot, I'm going to use the medium, and it's a Fantasista Premier. It's an Abu Garcia setup. And I have, you can put a Revo Premier, Revo MGX, Revo MG Extreme. I used them all this past week, and they all were great. But any of them in a size 30. And the 30 is key for me just because of line pickup. That is basically, it's a high-speed spinning reel. You can pick up about 36, 37 inches per turn. And so I can let that bait hit the bottom, shake it a couple times, fish it really fast. And then, of course, you want the 8-pound X5 grade to 8-pound trilene fluorocarbon. So if you have a 7-foot medium rod, a 30 size reel, 8 and 8, you're good to go.
Outstanding. Good setup. BTC, I know we've had Justin here for quite a long time.
I think we might have one more thing, Ken. Do you want to roll that out real quick?
Justin, you've been on the program before. I'm sure you're familiar with the Bass U battle. And,
Lord.
Where I pit you against the dean himself, Pete Gluszek.
Yes.
I'm going to give you guys a scenario. You're going to tell me how you would handle that scenario. Pretty straightforward, honestly, this time. And Justin, as the guest, I'm going to ask you to go first.
Okay.
And here it is. Now,
it's very friendly how they pair me up with the record breaker at the recent MLF or the guy that just dominates a ledge tournament asking ledge questions.
Oh, Pete, it gets more unfair. Just hang in there.
Yeah, it gets way worse.
I'm not scared. Come on.
I'm going to tell you right now that Brian and I came up with this question together, okay?
Yeah.
So that's pretty much all you need to know.
Oh, that is all I need to know.
You may not even be involved in this Bass U battle.
Okay.
But here it is, guys. It's July. Just like it is where we sit and as we're talking here. It's July. It's early morning, first half of the day. Things are warming up fast. It's hot out there.
It might even be 2013.
It could be 2008. I don't know. It might be 2008. You're fishing a natural glacial lake that measures approximately 271,000 surface acres.
Approximately?
It's a tournament. It's a tournament with a 5 bass limit. A lot like the old FLW tour events used to be. You're targeting smallmouth bass. Largemouth are not in the picture in this particular spot you're on. You've got some fish schooling. They're eating some yellow perch. You know that. You're completely out of black Senkos. Justin Lucas, what bait do you throw? Remember, it's 2008.
2008, right?
2008. Well, I mean, I would throw the bait that I threw out of the back of Pete's boat, but then there was also
ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
We have a winner, folks.
We have a winner. Not so
Pete.
quick. Not so quick. Because the correct answer is I'm going to be throwing whatever Justin Lucas is throwing.
Tie.
That's
Okay,
awesome.
technically you guys are both right, but since Justin, you had the correct answer first, you're our winner.
That's right.
Correct. I love it. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. Man, and I appreciate it. Every time you take the time to come and visit with us, man, it's always awesome. And I hope to get out and fish with you again sometime.
I'd love it, man. It would just be good just for old time's sake now, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. We should go. We should go right back there and revisit that.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
We did that actually. Ike and I went back and he won in Champlain in '99, and we filmed a show up there just recently, and we went back and revisited all the places that he won on.
That's so cool, man.
And it was cool. We caught like a 5-pound smallmouth and a couple big 4-pound largemouth on both of the winning places. It was amazing. We didn't catch hardly anything. We didn't catch nothing off of the smallmouth except for that one 5-pound smallmouth.
That makes it though. That's worth it.
It was as if it was like destiny, you know. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But I would love to do that with you sometime, and I want to wish you the best. What's next for you?
So we have the FLW Super Tournaments coming up. I'm going to go to Mississippi River this Saturday, and then they just announced that our other one is going to Sandusky, which is fine with me, totally fine, Lake Erie, and that's going to be in August too. So both of these tournaments coming up, and I'm thankful. I'm just thankful to have something to fish, you know, with this year and all the craziness and everything going on. I wish the guys at Bass this week, honestly, wish them the best, and I hope they can pull next week off too at Champlain, because you don't want to see anybody dealing with all this crap. You know, it sucks. So I'll be watching, dude. I'm still hard. I just love bass fishing, so I'll be watching this week, pulling for a few of my buddies, especially Paul and Nick, Clint Davis. A lot of people don't know when I first moved to Alabama, I lived with Clint Davis, and he's just been a good friend ever since. So him, Paul and Nick, couple other guys, and I'll be pulling for the same guys next week at Champlain, and you know they're both going to be fun to watch. There's no way they're not. I mean, New York in the summertime, it doesn't get much better.
No, it's going to be great. I'm going to be watching. I know that, and we're going to be watching you. I wish you best luck at Sandusky. They didn't let the guys into Canada in the last FLW there.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get to go either, but hey, as long as you got black tied on, I'll probably be all right, Pete.
You'll be just fine. You'll be just fine. So, hey, thanks for making the time, buddy. Congratulations again, and man, we wish you best of luck the rest of the season.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Kim, good to see you.
Great to see you, Justin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate you, bud.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Great, Justin
Bye.
Lucas, everybody. Thank you, man. That was great. I'm looking at the clock and it's like 8:30, and I'm like, man, we've had Justin on for an hour and a half, and I want to keep talking. I want to keep talking to him.
Yeah.
A lot of great stuff. The stuff about the spinning reel was awesome, and filling it up only halfway. You know, the tip guys have become so involved with their electronics, which is perfect because we've got Jeff Kolodzinski coming on momentarily here.
Yes.
But you know, guys have gotten the idea that they've got to see the fish on the electronics before they want to stop. And Justin is saying, hey, that with smallmouth, that's not always a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. That was insightful, and I love that spinning reel tip because I wrestle with that a lot.
And Pete, I love your tip about running over these fish at 30 miles an hour before they have a chance to get out of the way.
Yeah, and that's like Justin. He says he just saw a few of that mega school. When you're running at 30, you're not going to see many. You're going to see one, maybe two. That's all you're going to see, but that's representative of a big school if you ever see that. And I've learned that years ago. It's helped me narrow a 300 mile lake and make it manageable. So good stuff.
And I thought you did a nice job, Pete, on the Bass U battle. Just that short of a win.
I'm good. That's all right. That's all right. I'll give it. I'll take second place to the guy that just set the record. That's
there you go.
That's not bad, is it?
I'll take it. I'll take it. And it was great. And I am so humbled and honored that he mentioned me and remembered that and gave me some credit in the blaster.
That's huge, isn't it? I mean, when the guy is at the really one of the great high points of his career, and he reaches out and he acknowledges you and your influence, that's a high compliment.
I teared up a little bit. I must be honest.
Beautiful.
But
I don't blame
That's
you.
awesome. We didn't get into it too much, or I didn't get to jump in. But as far as fighting and landing the smallmouth, Justin certainly touched upon it, and then we touched upon the guys that struggle with it. But again, watching the live feed, the JT and the crew, they were talking about how Mike's really unorthodox method of feeding line and babying them, and they mentioned Justin Lucas as well as the two guys that they felt were the best of that crew at fighting and landing smallmouth. And it was about not over pressuring them,
And I see some other guys that are really good at it too, but I think Justin and Mike are doing a lot of the same stuff, but the way Mike does it, it's much more dynamic.
Yeah, of course.
Somebody should put a pedometer on Mike when he's landing a fish.
Yep.
I would like to see how many miles he puts in.
I know we got to get a Fitbit on that, man.
Yeah, I want to see his heart rate.
Yeah, he does 20,000 steps a day. I'm sure.
No wonder he's so thin. It takes him 2 miles just to land a fish.
Right.
Yeah. But he lands them. He lands them effectively. And
look, we just had Justin on. We're talking about Mike. See how that works?
Well, you're right, though. You brought him up. You put him in the same conversation, their ability to land fish. Jordan Lee and Jacob Wheeler are also in that conversation.
True.
Jordan Lee is like, oh, my gosh, that I watched that guy fish, and he's unflappable. He just, there he is. Boy, this is fun. And he lands the fish with such calm and precision.
Boy, this is fun.
There's never a move that's out of place. Even I watch him step around the camera equipment as he's moving around the boat. It's like every step has purpose, and it never trips, stumbles. Because that always happens to me. I get panicked. I trip and fall, and I see other guys do it too. And but Jordan is amazing like that, man. He is smooth.
He's young and agile. Wait until he gets another 50 pounds on him to get another 20 years. Let's see how he does then. I won't be around to see it, but let's see what happens then.
Yep. And congratulations to Jordan Lee for winning the point.
Yes.
Shout out to
2 major championships for the Bassmaster Classic, a bunch of regular season tournament wins, and now an AOY.
Mm-hmm.
He's putting himself in the conversation for a guy who's a potential GOAT.
Has anybody at 28 accomplished, this is a can-do question, have they accomplished what he's accomplished at age 28? Kevin, Bill, Dance, Roland, anybody?
Short answer is no.
No kidding.
Longer answer is, Kevin had won a couple of AOYs by the time he was 27, 28, but he had yet to win a classic. You've got guys who've done some. You've got Wheeler, who's won a major championship in a Wood Cup, and he's going to be 30 in a couple of months. Jordan is about 9 months younger than Jacob Wheeler. What Jordan Lee is putting together is incredibly impressive and unprecedented right now.
Unprecedented, rarefied air. Well, we're awful glad to have him at Bass University, and check out Justin Lucas's drop shotting. We have a lot of great content, instructional content, and you can see him teach about what he put in action this past week over at bashu.tv. What do you got, Ken?
Hey, let's.
I was just going to say, I'm excited about our next guest.
Yeah, let's grab a quick commercial break, guys.
Absolutely.
I got a minute 10 quick commercial, BU promo, and we'll be right back.
Jeff Kolozynski, we're going to be talking about Johnson Outdoors, Humminbird products, Minn Kota. How in the heck does he win every year at iCast?
This guy is the best marketing guy in our industry.
Well, we need to borrow him for Bash U for a few months.
and an incredibly passionate and avid angler.
Excellent. Well, we look forward to talking to Jeff. We're going to be back in just a few minutes with more Bass University TV Live.
Gerald Swindle, Bass U TV. I'm telling you right now, if you ain't watching it, you're like trying to put 3 pair of socks on 1 foot, man. You got to get part of it. You got to get on here and learn. If you got any doubt about flipping, pitching, we got it on Bass U TV. We got Bobby Lane. We got everybody you can imagine doing what they're the best at. You want to learn how to flip? Check out Hackney, huh? Don't get no slower than that. We got it all. BUTV offers A to Z bass fishing from beginner to the highest level. We have it on BUTV. Check it out online. Enjoy the laughs, but really enjoy the outdoors and fish. That's all we're asking. We want you to fish and we want you to watch BUTV.
Hey guys, welcome back to Bass University TV Live. What a great piece from Justin Lucas. We all learned a lot about how to spool our spinning rods and how to catch big smallmouth, and it's great to have them. Great to have you guys back with us. And we've got a new guest on Bass University TV, and it's awesome to have him. We were just complimenting him on his awesome Humminbird Minn Kota studio set up in his garage, and his name is Jeff Kolozynski.
Kolozynski. Come on.
It is.
We practiced for hours in rehearsal.
I know. I had it 15 times. Jeff, my father's name is Kazimierz Mieczysław Gluszek. You would think that I'd be able to get your name squared away, but
You know what? Listen, names like that can cause injury. Mine's like a hooked on phonics name, so that's why the name Kolo rings. It's all good.
Kolo.
I want to tell everybody about my buddy Kolo, because Kolo and I have been great friends for a long time, and he's one of the people I admire most in this industry. This is a guy who, first of all, let's get his job title out of the way. He is the brand manager of fishing for Johnson Outdoors. If you don't know Johnson Outdoors by that name, think Humminbird, think Minn Kota, think Johnson Outdoors Watercraft, think Canon, think Talons, think all that stuff they do. This is the guy who helps head up the marketing. And here's how good he is at his job. I think he's the best out there. This guy has won 9 out of the last 10 Best of Category awards in the incredibly competitive category of electronics at iCast. But that's just the tip of the iceberg with this man. We ran a giant feature on Kolo a couple of issues ago in Fishing Tackle Retailer magazine, and if anybody had a chance to read that, you know how amazing he is. But he's been competed 7 times for the United States at the World Freshwater Angling Championships. And this man holds the world record, for most fish caught in a 24-hour period. He's held it for a long time. He broke his own record, in fact, last fall. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Kolozynski.
I have a new PR guy. His name is Ken Duke. Woo!
This applause is for Ken Duke.
Yeah.
Wow, no kidding.
Now that's
awesome.
an introduction. That's nicely done.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna have to work really hard to live up to that in this interview. But I'm thrilled to be here. You guys have the best of the best anglers in the following, and you guys dish out some really legit information. And man, it's an honor to be here. I'll just end it at that. Fire away.
Man, that's great to have you. And we've got so many questions, but one of the questions I have goes to your introduction. What kind of you have the world record on 24? What kind of fish are you catching? How are you accomplishing this?
So, real quick, just a little backstory. 1991, I read an article in the magazine about a world championship team where you could go represent your country in what are the Olympics of fishing. And I went and represented the U.S. in the world championships in Szeged, Hungary. Not long before that, it was a communist country, and got the chance to go over there and compete in what are really the Olympics of fishing. And so there was a training going on. I was able to do that 7 times over the years. And as Ken said, came home and taught a lot of people to fish, given what I'd learned. And then got involved with a charity group that helps out military service members, Fishing for Life, out of Minneapolis. And decided that I'd do a 24-hour fishing marathon. And we were doing this for years and realized, man, this might be a record of some kind. We talked to the folks at the Guinness Book, established a Guinness Book of World Records for most fish caught in 24 hours. And I've been blessed to wind up breaking that over the years. And it's a silly big number. And I guess those are nice marks to see if you achieved anything in life. But what I like most about this is it goes to help some people that really spread the love and the language of fishing for life in their next gen program. So when our service members, some of them don't come home and they find mentors and help their kids fish and hunt to do algebra and serve as inspirational members, like locked into their lives. And I'm thrilled to put a shoulder and lean in behind those guys. So that's why I do it. 2,143 fish in 24 hours is the record. Mainly panfish. I love tuna. I just caught a really tasty blackfin tuna 4 days ago in Florida. You can't do it with that. It's got to be small panfish from the bank.
Panfish from the bank, 2,000
from the bank, yeah. It's a silly number.
That is. What's your secret? Are you using Max Scent?
I should be. They've got some other stuff. I typically use live bait, and what I wanted to do was to show, like, if you're a single mom, single dad, you don't know fishing, just copy what this idiot does on the dock, right? I use a 10-foot cane pole and 10 foot of line and live bait and a Phil shy bite float that's really balanced. You can only see the tiny fluorescent orange tip above that, and I just grind them out for all of 24 hours.
Man, that's great. That 2,000 fish. That's amazing.
He has such a team he works with, Tej Stouffer, some other guys, to do all this, and for a wonderful cause. He accepts donations. You can pay on the basis of how many fish he catches. You can make a flat rate donation, but it all goes to a wonderful cause to help support the people who protect our country. And Kolo, like I said, Kolo is just one of the most passionate anglers I know, apart from being just this genius marketing guy who's been wildly successful at iCast, including this very iCast, where he won yet another Best Electronics Award.
I'm humbled by the people that tolerate me, otherwise work around me. There are some insanely smart people. When I was screwing around, cutting class, my geology classes, when I was cutting classes going fishing, these people were actually studying math, and they came up with things like spot lock and, all kinds of the sonar and things like that. But I really had a blessing to talk about some great products over the years. And that comes from our engineering team, from the manufacturing team, sourcing teams. And I'm just the guy that at the end of all of those really bright decisions, they hand the ball off to, and they look at me in the eye and they go, Kolo, don't screw it up. And so far it's gone all right.
Well, it clearly has. You've won so much. Yeah. Do you have a secret? Like, are you strategizing on how to win iCast? Do you really?
Yeah, I do. You know what? And I think cat's out of the bag now, or about to be. I'm an incurable angler. Like, I don't care where I'm at. I'm thinking about fishing. And so my mind is always in that gear, but I approach it not just from a pro standpoint, but from the everyday angler standpoint. And I look at a product and I look at the storyline and I say, what's going to stand out to somebody that is trying to grind it out and catch a limit of fish, or take their family out and catch at least one fish over 4 pounds for the son, daughter? What's going to stand out in the storyline to do that? And, I just kind of drill in and figure out what's going to speak to those people. And I get to share that story.
That's great. I'm thinking, and I see your messaging, and I watched when Spot Lock hit the market, and I'm like, I'm watching guys use it, and my mind is blown. I'm like, this is the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. That had to be you had to be so psyched when you were able to get your hands on that. And I can't wait to spread the word.
Yeah, and you know what? The interesting part about that is, if you go back, I would say somewhere around 2000 and I don't know, probably early 2000s, mid 2000s, we came out with an Autopilot, and we came out with a GPS integrated motor, but it was in a Tarova was the model name. And it was great for multi-species anglers, and it had an electric foot pedal. And it was not the foot pedal that a bass angler looks. I mean, you can spin them around 5 times and put their foot on a foot pedal, and they can steer a boat even though they're dizzy, right? They know from the heel to toe exactly where the boat's going, how far, how fast. And that wasn't the kind of foot pedal. And so it was indescribably frustrating to me to have this incredible technology in a different in a motor that was other than the bass angler would like. And so the team at Minn Kota took on that challenge and said, okay, well, we've got to make the foot pedal that they like. And so that was the impetus behind the Ultrex. And it took probably, guys, I'd say 4 or 5 years to get it right. And by grace of God and some really smart people that wouldn't quit. One of the guys was a Green Beret, and like there's no okay, I quit with a guy like that, right? So he's going to figure it out, and they figured it out, and now you can press a button, have incredible boat control, and not be a bass angler like on the elite tours and that kind of thing. So it makes boat control and fishing accessible to everybody with a press of a button.
Man, it's amazing. And just when I first got it, I couldn't believe it. And I mean, I saw it, I was amazed. When I actually experienced it, I was amazed. And I do, through the Bass University, I do a lot of teaching. And one of the great things that I love is the iPilot, the remote control. And I can sit in my driver's seat in the boat, and I can have my angler or anglers when I'm teaching them how to flip, when I'm teaching them various things, and I can control the boat. I take the trolling motor out of the equation so they can concentrate on their technique. For guiding and teaching, oh my gosh, I don't know what I did before. It's changed the way I do things.
It's amazing. And you go back to when Aunt Defo won the big tournament on the Mississippi River a handful of years ago. He was one of the first handful of anglers to use the Ultrex and the spot lock.
I remember that.
That was, he's sitting in that rapid flow there of water and not going anywhere.
Yeah.
In front of the spillway. Thank you.
Yep.
And then basically his boat became a floating island. Like he could fish off the bow like everybody was used to, off the transom, off either side, and catch fish, because it was just like, it was everything that a bass boat was meant to be from the start, a floating casting platform. But instead of just using the front 5 feet, you had the whole thing. And then if you go like probably the year after that, or not long after, there was the Angler of the Year Championship in Mille Lacs. And wouldn't you know it, Minnesota, cold front, 2 and 3 foot rollers on the lake. It was blowing pretty good. And there were so many anglers that did not have spot lock with the old sort of cable steer motors. Every time they catch a fish, they get blown off their spot. You have to use the big motor to get back there. And that was a time when I just looked at just like the media that was being created and how anglers were interacting with that product. And I thought, wow, that's really powerful. You press a button, you stay there. And some guys were stuffing waves over the bow, but they weren't going anywhere. And that was when I looked at it and said, yep, this is what we wanted it to be. And thank God it's really been something. And now there's an incredible amount of people that use it.
And its durability has been great. And that's been an attribute for me. It can take, usually when you get, and I've experienced this, you get technology from companies but when you actually get out there in 3 foot waves and wind and boat banging, the technology can break down. And the durability of the Minn Kota products, I just give high praise for that.
It's funny. I was kidding around the other day, but maybe not so kidding. I was like, I never want to come back to life as a trolling motor because it's a terrible life. Like, there's no maintenance on them. They would plug you in, they expect you to work, they beat the snot out of you, grind you up against boat docks, stuff you into log jams, and you know what? You're supposed to hold the boat there every time, all the time. And what we ask of trolling motors is pretty tough. And, it was 1935 that Minn Kota made the first flexible cable steer trolling motor, and it has been innovation after innovation after innovation from putting a transducer right into the bottom of the motor to integrating it to talk to a Humminbird, and the stuff that you can do when your motor and your fish finder talk together are insane.
Well, I love what, and I have some products, and I'm getting new. My new boat is going to be here in less than a month now, Mr. Duke. I can't wait. I'm calling the factory every day, and I can't wait. I have some Solixes coming, and I have the Ultrex, and I've got a lot of stuff on that boat that I can't wait to use. And I'm going to have for the first time, I'm going to have 360, and this product is another one that I've been watching, and I'm finally going to have it on my boat. It's amazing technology. All that forward-facing sonar is so important right now. And Humminbird's 360, I tried to get it away from Brian Thrift, and he would not give it to me. He's not giving his 360 up. It's an amazing product.
It's funny, when I came to the company 9 years ago, it was like 2012, 2011, and that was the first product that I worked on. At that time, it deployed like on the bottom of a Talon. We knew we wanted the technology. I don't think any of us were really crazy about the implementation off the transom of the boat, understatement. But when it got to the front of the boat and we were able to put it on a motor, and then all of a sudden the whole world around you was depicted at your feet. Like you're in the center of this sphere, and you look around, and at 10 o'clock there's a rock pile, and at 2 o'clock there's a brush pile, and it's right that in real life. And that's one of the strong suits about 360 imaging. When you look at the lay of the land or water or the bottom, however you want to talk about it, the stuff that you see on screen is really right there. And so what's really helpful to anglers is you can dissect a whole body of water really quickly in close range to figure out where's the spot on the spot, where's that fish going to live, where's his cover, where's his escape route, where's his food. And man, you can, like on your Solix, Brian, you can touch the screen, mark a waypoint. That's the brush pile. Touch a screen over here. That's the rock pile. Come back to them, fish them whenever you want when the conditions are right. But looking at your screen and being able to discern brush, rock pile, and everything, the Mega 360 imaging gives you that detail. And that isn't, the Mega imaging is just another level of detail. We launched several years ago, and now it's available on the 360, and it's lights out.
I cannot wait to get my hands on it and put it to work. And now there are other products out there that are forward-facing sonar systems. Why is the Humminbird product so much superior?
Not that's a boy. Did you see me just shift around here? Ooh, dang, that's a hot question, brother. I'll speak to it though, and I'll just hit it straight. Because I would say it is a really strong product. There are other forward-facing sonars on the market, and they do some unique things, and they do some of those unique things relatively well. But as an angler, I don't fish just looking for one fish or looking for suspended fish or whatever else. For me and the folks that I fish around and get to know, we're all looking for where's that spot. And we're looking for, I want to fish here. I want to be able to watch my line and see where the line goes slack. I want to see where the line jumps on the jig. And I got to know that, right? So if I'm looking somewhere else at another screen, it takes my attention off of where I really want it. And that's to pay attention for the one bite that's either going to be the fish of my lifetime or the fish that gets me a paycheck that weekend, right? But the ability to look at 360 imaging, know where the structure is, and even see fish on there, and know where all the structure is in front of you and not have to look at a screen is probably one of the best parts about it. And the detail is incredible.
I've seen it, and we've been out. I mentioned Brian Thrift because he does a great seminar at Bass Shoe TV, and I want to invite you guys to go and check it out. And he teaches us how he uses his side imaging in concert with his 360 and his GPS to be able to target. It's amazing to watch him, and I know he's the best in the world at it. But he fishes in 20 feet of water like he's fishing the bank. It's like you might throw it a dock piling or throw it at a blow down tree. He picks a rock, an isolated rock in 20, 30 feet of water and hits it on the first cast every time. It's an amazing system.
And that's what it does. And watching some of the anglers in St. Lawrence and lately and things like that, you can find that piece of structure that's isolated from everything and make that cast. And as an angler, if you're a tournament angler, every cast counts. Like, you don't want to waste a cast. You don't want to spend too much time on a dock if there are no fish there. When you can figure out if there are fish there, or if there's enough cover underneath there to really hold fish, then you can stay and fish it a little harder. But that makes the difference between being efficient on the water and just wasting time, honestly.
Yeah, no question. What do you got, Ken?
Well, Jeff, you and I have spent a lot of time talking about electronics through the years, and one of the things that's always impressed me about Humminbird products is how good the auto feature is, how easy it is just to turn the machine on, let it do its thing. Would you say that auto is the best friend of most anglers, and how many anglers can really improve upon those auto settings?
That is a really awesome question, because look, I'll just tell you this. I am blessed to get in the boat with a lot of anglers that are infinitely cooler than I am. And it's funny because they all set up their sonars a little differently. Like Kevin, the Van Dam Kevin, will set up his differently than Defo will, than Aaron Martins or whomever, down the line. And over the years, I've been in their boats. So it's interesting that they all have a little take on it, but it is astonishing when you mount your transducer right, and according to you get a good reading, right, and you turn it on, the auto settings will allow you to see every fish and bottom and everything that you need to do. If you feel compelled to go in and manually tweak things, you can do that, and a lot of people will do that, and they'll get a little bit of extra contrast or extra range or whatever else it is, and those are worthwhile small adjustments. But I would sit here and very thoroughly dispel a myth. You do not have to get deep in the sonar and tweak every setting to get it just right to see stuff. In fact, one of the things, if I had to tell an angler, like, how would you get to know mega side imaging or down imaging or any of that? And the best thing to do is to go on a lake that you already know. Go on a clear lake and look down at the bottom and go, yep, that's gravel. That's a hard return. And look at your sonar signal and see how thick the bottom is on that. Then go to some muddy backwater, whatever else, and go look at and see how the sonar looks underneath there, or even on side imaging, what that transition will look like. Because you'll see a little gray edge on your side imaging where the hard return, where the energy comes back really strong. It kind of meets that softer bottom, and the energy is more absorbed in that bottom, so it doesn't reflect back to your transducer. You can see that as an angler, and when you know that's on your home lake, then you get a good idea. Then you pack that in your brain somewhere in the back of there as an angler, and then you go, okay, I'm on the water. I know that I can see bottom. I know that I can see weeds. I've seen fish before. I'm not seeing fish. What's the problem? The problem? You're in the wrong spot. If your unit is so good at seeing fish, get out of there and go to somewhere else where you do see bait or structure or something like that. I do get a lot of questions, through social media. We do about, I can't see anything on my lake. And we'll say, hey, send us a screenshot. And it is just a muddy bowl and there is nothing. I'm like, man, you are fishing the Dead Sea, brother. I am so sorry. You need to go to somewhere else, go to Gunnersville, somewhere else. But get out of that lake. But looking at the lake that it helps a lot.
Jeff, you're describing every salad bowl lake I fish in Florida. Come on, man.
But you have big bass in Florida, and that's kind of not fair.
We do, but you know what? A buddy of mine who's a brand manager for Johnson Outdoors Fishing was supposed to come down one winter because it's really cold in Wisconsin where he lives.
Yes, it is.
And
go
fishing with me, but he never seems to make it in the winter.
Well, he's going to mend his evil ways and get down there. We're going to get back to traveling here and do that.
I hope so. One of the things that's amazed me in recent years that the folks at Johnson Outdoors have put together is what you guys call the One Boat Network. And not only is the One Boat Network a technological marvel, but you have a great story to tell with how you market that and some programming you created to help build interest and support for the One Boat Network.
Yeah, so the same parent company, Johnson Outdoors, Ms. Helen is our leader. We've got the Humminbird and Minn Kota parts of the company, and for years they just did their own thing. We did separate marketing and separate things, and all of a sudden, one really smart person said, you know what? If I can have my boat follow a depth contour on a map, I could follow an inside ledge, and I can Carolina rig, I can drop shot, I can do whatever else along this depth. What if we had them talk to each other and we were able to do it? And I will tell you, it is not an easy feat to get all the software to do that, but we were able to do it and realized there is a lot of boat control progress that you can make when your sonar and your motor talk to each other. And you can do things like launch talons, raptors, whatever, right from your Solix or Helix screen. It shares waypoints from your front unit to your console unit. You can even steer your motor, your Ultrax. You can steer motors, as you're going along, which is pretty cool. But in terms of the bass world, we wanted to kind of show people what that looks like in a kind of a far out way. And I don't know if anybody's done this before, but we kind of picked 8 anglers from around the country, and all of them were good anglers in their own right. Some of them were saltwater, some fly guys, some an incredible lady angler, Ashley Nicole Lewis from the Northwest, salmon and steelhead guide. Took them to probably the most amazing bass lake on planet Earth. That is Billy Chapman's Lake El Salto in Mexico. Took them down there for a pretty cool challenge. They had no idea where they were going. They knew they were going to Mexico. We got them there. We had 4 boats that were rigged out, and we put them in 2 teams and had some real and practical fishing challenges for them. They rose to the occasion, but they got a chance to see what that connected boat looked like. And we wanted to put people in that scenario that didn't really know the product deeply. Like it would be different if I took Kevin Van Dam or Brandon Polinick and put them down there because they know Humminbird, they know Minn Kota, right? But it said something about people that really didn't know the product, got in there, and they had a 5-hour warm-up day on day 0, and then we started a competition on day 1. So there was not a lot of getting to know the product, but they're able to run the boats and do everything they need to do as anglers and catch fish. And it was so cool. Some pretty decent fish caught. You can find that. It was the One Boat Challenge. I was playing on the Pursuit Network recently. You can find it on our website. And Mossy Oak Go channel has that now too. But it's a 4-part series, having these people face off with some pretty cool challenges. And I thought at the end, I'm a young guy. I'm relatively fit. I should shed a few pounds, but I thought I was going to have a heart attack with about 4 minutes left on the final episode. It was pretty intense, but it was a lot of fun. And El Salto and Billy Chapman's people were out of this world. It was so much fun to produce that piece. That was probably one of the best things I've ever been blessed to produce, was the One Boat Challenge.
Guys, it was
excuse me, I was able to be part of that. There was wildly talented people from our agency, Swanson Russell, and from our brands that helped out too.
Well, guys, it was just an incredibly cool reality show about bass fishing and electronics and the Johnson Outdoor products and so forth. They're dropping boats from helicopters. They're flying in Kevin Van Dam in a helicopter. It's craziness.
Everything you see on there really happened. And if I didn't have a heart attack because of the suspense on the last episode, I should have had a heart attack on the helicopter with Kevin Van Dam, another special pro athlete from the NFL in there. Because my gosh, my head was spinning. I thought I was going to pass out, but it was pretty cool. Everything worked out all right, thank God.
I'm scared of getting in a helicopter.
Yes.
You know what? So I had a cameo. If you look in one of the scenes, there's a light blue shirt, Loafco shirt on my left elbow. That's me in the helicopter. We got up to do a couple of the scenes, and I just wanted to see the lay of the land. And I was either too dumb or too desperate to stay on the ground, but it was amazing to see how El Salto lays out and the beautiful hills and the mountains of Mexico. Man, it was insane. I can't wait to go back there.
That's an amazing place. I was fortunate. We had a Bass University event down at El Salto.
Good thinking.
2 years ago, and
I'll send you my address. You can send me an invite, brother.
All right. We're due to go back. We'll have to reach out to Billy and go back. But boy, they do treat you right down there at his place. On
and you know what else? The one thing I will say from a bass thing, it's funny that you mentioned that, Brian, because the first time I was down there 4 or 5 years ago, I had just never been around the fisheries to fish a Carolina rig much at all and get comfortable with it. And I never was able to get comfortable deep cranking, like, 6XD and just pounding off a wood and what's a limb, what's a fish, whatever else. And so the first time I went down there was on El Salto and their other Lake Picachos. And I was able to use a swim jig, a regular jig, a Carolina rig, spinnerbait, topwater, worm, like every bass food group you could think of. And I caught fish on there. And it wasn't that it was easy, but I knew that I could do it. And I walked off of those 2 lakes as a better bass angler, period. I knew exactly what a bite felt like on a Carolina rig. I knew when I was going from hard to soft bottom. I knew if I wasn't getting a bite, what I needed to do. It was really helpful as a bass. Yes, it was a lot of fun, caught some big fish. But to go there as an angler who's hungry to learn more and to come back, I was like, yeah, I could do this. I can Carolina rig now.
Yeah, it is forgiving. You get so many bites. You get to learn every single technique.
Yeah, that makes it so nice. Hey, Pete, do I understand that Riz has a question or two coming in?
Come on,
I think
Riz.
he does.
That is correct, Ken. I had a question come in from, and I lost it here for 1 second. Prince Lures wants to know, what's the most common feature, Colo, that you find the pro anglers tweak first when they make adjustments on their units?
It's a simple one, easy one. It's the range, side imaging range. So the objective is to find the stuff that fish are hanging out in that they'll relate to. And the more of your screen that you use up, the more detail you get, and the easier it is to see. Now, if you want to cover 20 feet on either side of your boat, that's really easy to look at on your screen, right? So you set your range to 20 feet either side. You're looking at a 40-foot swath of water, but that's not very big. So there's kind of a trade-off to see the detail plus the range that you want to see. If you're on a body of water for the first time and you are trying to find an isolated rock pile, you're going to set the range to 60 or maybe even 100 feet either side. And at that point, what you see is going to be a fairly large rock pile to show up on there, right? So the setting your side imaging range is the first easiest thing to do. And after that, some people will adjust sort of the contrast to make it lighter or darker for their eyes. And all of our eyes see colors differently. Some people don't see color much at all. And so just looking physically with your eyes at your Humminbird, there's a day when, an amber palette really pops. And there's some days like cloudy or whatever other conditions where you want like a blue color. And so you can change that. It's probably the second most changed feature is just the colors that you're looking at. But we give you 8 or 9 of them just so your eyes can latch onto those in the right way.
Well, guys that you're watching, I want to remind everybody that if you're watching us over on Facebook, like us and share over there. And we got a wonderful prize for you guys. And we also have the Ken Duke trivia question coming up at the end of the show, which has a monstrous prize as well. So we want to remind you guys to hang in there. And Colo, I want to put you on the spot again. Of all the, who's the best at using the Humminbird sonar?
Ooh, wow, man! I thought you were gonna take it easy on me, Brian. First time guest. No, I'm good with that. So
that's Pete.
It's all right.
Brian's got the red cap.
Yeah, my name is Pete Gluszek, bitches.
It is.
And,
Sorry, that was Pete asking the question.
That was not you sending a question in.
Yeah,
that was your own question.
That's all right. I messed up your name at the beginning, so it's
all good.
It's all fair. It's all good. But
so this is your question.
Yeah, this is my question. I watched. Like I said, I've seen some of the guys, and they're very, very good. And we're going to be working with Kevin in late in the summer and early fall, and I'm really psyched to get on the water with him and watch how he uses the systems. But
so the
who's doing the most innovative stuff?
In terms of anglers of how they use it?
Yeah. Yep.
Ah, man, it's hard to pick one.
You have to pick one.
Hey, Colo, this is a trick question.
You have to pick one.
Pete is going to take your answer, and he's going to go to that pro to teach him class at Bass.
And all the other 50.
It's a trick question.
If it's looking at a map, ain't no better than Kevin Van Dam. That guy and Lake Master are one. They're mind melded.
No kidding.
If you're looking at Mega 360 imaging, Autipilot is really good. Brandon Palaniuk is insane. If you're going to look at Sonar and side imaging, Kevin's there. And there's a name that I didn't mention earlier, actually, Gerald Swindle. You know, Mr. Funny Man in fishing.
His units are so dialed, it's unbelievable. I've seen
so
videos of him
crazy.
running down the lake, and he'll be going 50. And I mean, his birds are just so dialed in, staying with the speed of his boat, clean bottom the entire ride. I mean, it's astounding, you know?
Yeah. That comes from a good installation. The number one problem that we get in customer service is, look, I'm not reading bottom, whatever. And a couple things. Putting the transducer in a spot where there's no bubbles coming down any part of the hull that's like number one. Number two, if you're going to shoot through the hull, like most bass boats you do, letting that epoxy cure in the right rate is everything. Ooh. If you're going to be in a tournament on a Saturday morning and you're doing that on Friday night and you want to make that epoxy cure really quickly, don't do it. Just wait. Let that epoxy cure slowly. As it cures fast, sometimes it gets brittle and cracks, and then you lose contact with the bottom. I was at a writer's event a handful of years ago, and 3 guys came up, all had the same problem. Colo, I can't see the bottom when I'm at speed. It's like, you got the right transducer? Yes. You look in there and it's all spider webbed and cracked and the epoxy in there. So a couple of things. Most of the time, if you get the installation right, you're solid.
Is there a resource for that to find out, like on your particular boat? Surrey seems to want to participate in asking you a few questions from my phone. But is there a place that like if I have a bass cat, which I have coming, where can I go to find out the best place to mount the transducers?
There's a handful of videos and diagrams on the Minn Kota or the Humminbird website too. Okay. The other part is, I would say, that's probably the best spot. You can even look them up on YouTube, and there's a handful out there. But if you wanted to really dial in the use of a Humminbird, there is a Humminbird tutorial channel on YouTube. Fire that thing up, and there's a playlist. So every menu option on your main menu, whether it is sonar or navigation or anything else like that, it's got a playlist for every feature of your Helix unit, and it tells you what that menu option is, kind of why it's relevant to you as an angler, and then how you make the adjustments. So watching that when it's cold or rainy in the off season will get you dialed in for the next coming season. Humminbird tutorials, that's one to take a look at.
Excellent. What do you got, Ken?
Kolo, let's change gears for just a moment. One of the items you guys won best of category in this year was best boating accessory with your new shallow water line of anchors called the Raptor. Yep. And I know you don't shy away from this question, so I want to give you a chance to address it to the Bass University crowd. A lot of people see the similarities between your Raptor and another, I don't know, scissor style.
Fair enough.
Scissor style shallow water anchor power pole.
Yes.
Tell us about the differences between what the Raptor's bringing to the game and what the power pole is already doing.
Got it. So I'm going to take a step back to set this up. So right behind me, that's a Talon right there, right? So
and I run a Talon.
Thank you. There's an advantage to having your boat be anchored with as little distance away from the anchor points as possible, right? So if you're straight above, it's really solid to hold down. We recognize that there was a form factor that people really like. They like the articulated anchor, and we're like, okay, well that's cool. But we wanted to create something that we couldn't do in the electrical form in the Talon, and so we had to go to a hydraulic system, really. And so in order to take shallow water anchors up a level of performance, we went to the form factor of that articulated anchor arm and had some hydraulic pumps, one pump onto each. And what this one does, the Raptor, and why it's special, I got a chance to fish with that several times over the last year. And that Raptor has a feature on there. It's called active anchoring. And once that the spike goes down, the unit is really smart, and you almost might say it's got artificial intelligence built in there, because it mimics all of the adjustments that we as humans would do by redriving or putting the anchor down just a little bit more pressure. It does that all automatically. And so if you are in a spot and you're Raptor down or you're locked down, right, and some ding dong comes by in a jet ski and wakes you, and all one side of the gunnel goes up and down or whatever. There's a lot of times where you can lose hold. Now it's probably not a safety feature, but it is going to make you mad when you're set up right there and you know where the fish are at and you've got your whole thing dialed in. So what the active anchoring does is it knows and it monitors that pressure in the line, and it makes the adjustment. And so when one gunnel goes up, it goes deeper to make sure that you don't lose hold. You don't lose hold on this thing. And so I got my first taste of that. I was in Louisiana, and we had some of our guys, Cajun Phil and Kevin Broussard, were running this for a long time, and mainly saltwater, a little bit in freshwater. And so we got there with our day of fishing, pulled up to the dock. I'm 6'2", 240. I should probably lose a few pounds, but a pretty decent sized fella. So I walked to one side, to the starboard, the right side gunnel, and I put my foot on the dock. And the one Raptor behind me, since I've got weight off of the boat now, the one Raptor right behind me redrove when the boat was effectively floating higher. I was like, huh? And as I looked at it and I pulled my left foot off of the boat onto the dock, it redrove again. No kidding. And I was like, dang, that was far out. It was that moment of time. That was a real aha moment for me to say, this thing is really working on my behalf. And no shallow water anchor does that. And so I think when staying put really means something, this thing doesn't stop. It is impressive in that that spot.
And,
very cool.
And and the folks at iCast feel the same way. As you won Best in Show again for another thing.
That was cool. And you know what else? It's funny. I'm grateful for every one of those. And the thing that I love most about winning those is I take a little trophy, a little glass trophy from the folks at the American Sport Fishing Association, and we take that to the factory and they go, thanks for knocking it out of the park. Go put that in y'all's trophy case. It is not a Colo thing. But when you get to bring that acknowledgement back to a group that doesn't always see the consumer, that doesn't get in the trade very much, they're like, yeah, man, we did that. And it's a great thing to rally behind. And so when you asked earlier kind of, about the awards and what drives me, I feel like I owe it to them to be a great storyteller and to bring that win home, because they're doing some great stuff. And honestly, I feel like if I don't, I failed them. And so I love bringing that back to them, and they get to celebrate that.
Well, you've got a great team, and you've obviously done so many amazing things. And I want to go back to some of the technology, because I'm interested in this, and I've heard Aaron Martins talk about it a little bit, and I wonder if you even can talk about this. But I've seen, like, when I use my side imaging, it's the 5 mile an hour device, right? You go slow, it's unbelievable. It showed me places that I never knew were there. But guys like Aaron have started mounting their transducers in such a fashion where they're using it at high speeds, 20, 30 miles an hour scenarios. Do you, have you seen this, or
I have, and I've been on some boats where just the way the hull is set up, the transducer placement, we'll get up to 12, 15 miles an hour, and I'm looking like, wow, you still got a reasonably decent side imaging picture. I think what I would say, you're not going to break anything if you do that. You just don't get the clearest picture, because every time that sonar pings a sound pulse, it's got to bounce off of something and come back.
Right.
And so when we're about the same position where we ping that, we're at about the same position to receive that signal back and interpret it and then draw it on your fish finder, on your Humminbird. But as we're moving along, the faster we go, the farther we are away from where that ping happened. And so what happens is your picture is degraded. It's not as crisp or as sharp. It's blurred as it was. And that's just because we're not able to really get the good sound signal back. So if they're getting it at 20 miles an hour, They're probably not getting really great details of stuff. But if you're looking for a submerged brush pile or cane pile that somebody's set down there and you don't know where it is and they think you don't know where it is, you can find some things at higher speed that way too.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and I'm going to consider that when I'm rigging my boat on where I place that. But you've done so much. There's so much that like you win every year. So like
Pressure,
right,
Colo, no pressure.
Are you like are you planning 21 and 22 and 23?
I am
right now. Do you have things
Yes,
in the
sir.
works that are going to blow our hair
We
back?
do. Yeah. I'll just say it like this. I get to look behind Oz's curtain, and I get to see not as much as I used to as being the formal Humminbird brand manager, but I get an idea of kind of what's coming down the pipe, and it's going to be a fun couple years.
I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
That's awesome.
Well, guys, Jeff's efforts to not only extend to things like these reality shows for the One Boat Challenge, he's doing things actively on the floor of iCast, which are bringing attention to his brands and making people appreciate what all they do and the contribution that Johnson Outdoors makes just to our industry and to American life. A couple of years ago at iCast, Colo barely got into his own booth because he was running a program where they were upgrading a military veterans boat. Colo, can you tell everybody about that one?
Yeah, that was so cool. We picked this guy, and David had a great story. So he'd served in the military. He's now kind of sort of retired. He has his own boat, but what he does is he takes the high school anglers fishing out of his boat. So he's one of the sort of chaperones or boat captains. And we knew that he did a lot of stuff for the folks over at Bass, and there was countless young anglers that went through the boat and got a chance to go and fish and do some really cool stuff. And we knew that he had some older gear, what happened to be Humminbird gear, but we got tipped off to the fact that he could use a little boat makeover. And so we worked with David's son, and we stole David's boat out from right under him in Tennessee, had it shipped down to the iCast show hall floor last year, 53 weeks ago, whatever it is now. And he never knew about it. And we totally did this boat makeover live. And the funniest thing of the whole thing, he never knew. We flew him down after making the boat over and putting all new Solixes and Talons and battery chargers and Ultrex on there and everything you could think of. And we brought David down and we just said, well, we didn't lie. We said, you're going to address the crowd and talk to them about your efforts having young anglers fish. And he did that for about 4 seconds. And then we said, oh, by the way, David, the boat that you're leaning on, Brandon Polnick was there. Would you please, take the sheet off? And the dude came unglued. Dude, listen, I thought I was going to have to hand in my man card because somebody's cutting onions on the iCast show hall floor. That eye leaked a little bit right there. It was incredible.
Wow.
And, just to honor a guy that had given so much to fishing in a way that meant a lot to him and the anglers. We had put out that very day before, when David was getting on a flight, we put out a press release that said, making over a boat, watch live on iCast. David got the email and read it. And he's like, Colo, he goes, I saw y'all's email. He said, but I never thought it could be me. So I just came along and thought I was going to talk. And so it really was him. And that was fun. I think, guys, it's a blessing to do what we get to do, not just in fishing, but for work as an industry. And we could do whatever, right, for a living. But it's a blessing to be in the fishing industry. And it's just fun to be able to share that with people that appreciate it and that have paid stuff forward and be able to honor them. He'd served in the military, and he's just a really good guy, taking young anglers fishing. So that was a fun one to put together last year and do it live. And the dude had no idea at all. It was so cool.
Man, that's great. I appreciate what you do there, and that's an awesome story. And I appreciate what you do for the fishing industry. I can see why you're so successful. You're you're so vibrant and full of life and enthusiasm.
I'm going on 6 years old this year. I'm going to second grade. You know what? It bothers me to talk about pixels and pounds of thrust. It's always about people. And we're the humans that use this stuff, right? And if it doesn't work for me on the water, it just doesn't work. And I take that attitude with everybody else. And so when we tweak a product, and listen, I'm looking at Humminbirds and a Minn Kota here. There are things that we're actively working on to make better and change. But it's got to work. And that's the thing that drives us and drives me, to be able to make that experience better all the time. And every time I launch a product, say, hey, this is why this thing exists, because when you're on the water, it's going to do something for you that you couldn't or wouldn't want to do for yourself.
Well, a lot of guys, I see them on the IM board talking about price points. This is out of my price range. Yeah. But a lot of the products, you get the same technology on the smaller units that you get on the big units.
Yeah, that's a maybe not so guarded secret, but that's the truth. There's a lot of technical and capabilities packed into like a Helix 7 or an 8 or a 9, right? It's a little more to look at those screen sizes and see that. When you're looking at a 360 imaging, it's funny. I remember years ago when I was actually formerly as the Humminbird brand manager. Where were we? Somewhere in Louisiana, Red River. I can't remember where we were at. But Kevin wanted 360 imaging on his boat on the bow, and he had already 2 units on the console because he'd run one with Lake Master mapping and then one with his sonar. And that's just how Kevin rolled. Then he had another unit up there for the mapping and fishing when he was there. And he says, I want another unit to go on the bow that's going to have 360 imaging. And we're like, oh my gosh, 4 units. That's insane. But I remember going and helping, doing the installation with Joby Smith, the guy that really did it. I was like, this is crazy. This is like 2 units on the front, 2 on the back. And now you look at every pro's rig, there's enough technology coming in of one form or another that they're looking like I'm glued to my mapping, I'm glued to the sonar and whatever else. So it's come a long way, but the reality is you don't have to have 4 screens to be able to be pretty lethal on the water. If you can get some mega imaging in your lineup, you're going to be able to see all the stuff that's around you and see fish. It is incredible. So looking at side imaging for years, I was as Humminbird, when we came out with the mega side imaging, the enhancement, the side imaging 2.0, if you will, it was a much higher frequency and gave insanely better detail of the fish, such that I remember looking at a picture of a bass, and one of our engineers showed me, and he laughed. And Mark goes, "What fish is that?" I was like, "Well, that's a largemouth bass, and it's 20 feet, and it's right along the bank." And I'm looking at a broadside. He goes, "Yep, what's this one?" "It's a catfish." "Yep, what's this one?" "Crappie." I went 3 for 3. Now I'm a fish addict, right? But when you can see the shape and the heads and tails of fish, when everything lines up really well, right? That is the kind of accuracy and detail that takes just a regular weekend angler up a few notches when they know that they are definitely looking at fish, kind of get an idea what they are. And that's what the Sonar has done over the years. It's been incredible. And you can get that on any size screen that you want.
Outstanding. Guys, go check out the Humminbird products. You can go check out the One Boat Network series. A lot of fun. Kolo, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us. Do you want to hang in there for Ken Duke's trivia question with us?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm rolling.
Let's do this.
This is the highlight of our show, the trivia question.
It's Kolo. How many Dairy Queens does Kolo eat in a day?
Kolo, this is our panel question. This is the one that only I know the question and the answer. Brian the Carpenter over here in the red cap doesn't know. Pete doesn't know. Riz, who I can't see on my screen. You probably can't see on your screen either.
No,
Riz
we can't see him
either. So here's the question. It's in honor of iCast, which we had last week. What brand has won the most iCast Best of Category awards since iCast began in 2002?
Zebco.
BTC is now out. He guessed Zebco. That is incorrect.
So there's a little strategy to go last.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they beat you to the correct answer, that's a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm waiting too. I'm waiting for Riz to weigh in.
I got 2 guesses. I can only give one. I'm going to say one's a lure, one's an accessory. I'm going to go with the accessory and say Costa Del Mar.
Costa Del Mar has won 10 eyeglass awards in a row. It is not the correct answer.
Oh, I just died.
This
It's
brand,
up to you.
this brand has won 38 best of category awards.
Abu Garcia.
Hey.
Abu Garcia is incorrect. Riz is out. Pete,
I think Riz was onto something, though.
It's not Pure Fishing.
Oh,
Pure
that
Fishing
was my
is
second guess. Okay.
the overall company, and I don't call Pure Fishing the brand because they don't stamp Pure Fishing on anything.
Johnson
Man.
Outdoors.
38.
I'm going through this process and I'm going off of one of the answers to a previous question about the company that I think had entered the most this year, but I'm going with Eagle Claw.
Eagle Claw entered 20 items in the iCast Best of Show this year.
Wow.
Is not Eagle Claw, Pete.
Oh my goodness.
First of all,
Is
let me
anybody
say
still
real quickly,
alive?
We're dead.
Yeah, this company won this year. This company has won something at every iCast but one. And the company is Shimano.
Oh,
Shimano has won 38 best of category awards.
good for
The
them.
second most, and this is hard to believe on some level, but the second most, guys, is 16. Okay,
Wow.
so that's how big the
Wow.
gap is between Shimano and the next brand.
Wow.
I'm not counting the Loomis wins. I'm not counting anything by Jackal. I'm not counting the Power Pro wins. I'm only
Wow.
counting the stuff with the name Shimano.
That's impressive.
That's very
Very
impressive.
impressive.
This
It's going to
is-
take you a while to catch them, Colo. You're going to do it, obviously, but it's going to take a while.
Say, who's second place?
Yeah.
You know what? Let me refer to my list here and get you the actual grouping on second place. Berkeley and St. Croix both have 16. For what it's
Wow.
worth, Humminbird, largely during the time of Mr. Kolozynski here, has 12.
Mhm.
As expected.
Yeah.
As they
Oh,
should.
Get on the ball here now.
Well done.
That's right. Humminbird. It's the most user-friendly units on the market. Best value for the dollar you're going to get, bar none, guys. If there's anybody on the message board right now that's on the fence about what kind of unit to get, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The other units, only the companies know how to actually set those things and dial them in. Humminbird, you can get that if you have, if you put
Come
a little
on
bit
with
of
it.
time into it and get out on the water and do the things that Jeff said, Colo said, about seeing the bottom, recognizing what you're looking at, and putting 2 and 2 together. You will become so much more effective and efficient on the water with a Humminbird. It's insane.
There's this
That's the invisible
freedom that you've. What? Sorry, go ahead.
That's the invisible Riz. I can't see
It
him
is.
on my but he is.
It is. That's why I was throwing off. Like, I got to watch my monitor when the questions were. Oh, now we're good. Thank you.
There he is.
I got to watch my monitor when the questions are coming to see who's making them. But there's a moment when you get your sonar, you feel like you're bulletproof on the water. And I've been there for years of my life and been there with anglers that are really good, but there's like this cloud over them like that. I just don't understand what's going on. And all of a sudden, when you're like, yep, I know that's a tree. I know that's a rock pile. I know that's a fish tight to bottom. Angels sing, and it's like a beautiful thing. Like, you don't worry about where fish are. And then what happens is the only time that you've put a line in the water is when you see a fish. Like when you go, there are fish on that brush pile, I'm going in there. And otherwise, it's just a drive-by and you go on to the next waypoint and that's it. But it makes fishing worth it once you feel that confidence.
Agreed. And my experience with the Humminbird units in particular has been wonderful. Like they find bottom so quick, and it and what you see is what you get with the units, which I really like, as it's consistent. when I see fish down there, man, there's fish down there, and a lot of times there's interference, and I've run into some problems with some other scenarios, but I don't ever have that with Humminbird, and it is easy to get around, like you say, Rich. It's very easy and user friendly, especially if you're just starting with them.
Yeah.
It's a way to get way more out of your time on the water. Once you know what your sonar is telling you, it's a huge difference maker.
Takes the luck factor out of a lot of fishing for a large percentage of bodies of water. If you're fishing over, and I would say realistically over 6 feet of water, or if you're fishing around vegetation lines or whatever, you eliminate luck almost entirely once you start to dial in those electronics, and you know what you're looking for, and you can put the pieces of the puzzle together for what kind of habitat those fish are holding to. Being able to effectively read and analyze your electronics, it really takes I just landed on them. It takes that factor out of the game.
Right. Yeah, because that never happens 2 days in a row, right? As an angler, where you just messed them up the day before you go back there and you bring your buddy for this insane bite, and you're like, there's nothing here. They moved. But I'll tell you one more thing that you could do is getting to know your Lake Master map and looking at that and studying that before you hit the water, when you're on the water, and getting the shading right to say, look, if the fish are in 12 feet of water, that's where I'm gonna put my green highlight. But looking and understanding where fish travel and looking at your map sets up all the sonar success of what part of the lake do you even put your boat launch in, right? Where do you go on your launch?
Super juice.
But that's another huge thing to make you a better angler, is looking at the map and finding those areas where fish will go on a main point or secondary point, or those off little humps or whatever. That will take you a long way of getting to know your map.
Great advice. And Skinny Pete on the message board would like Riz to sing Folsom Prison Blues.
I think Pete, he's referring to Rich Ortiz is on the message board as well. He was our singer at the Ike Foundation events. He's definitely not referring to me. You
sound like Johnny Cash with that deep radio voice you're rocking there, Riz. I'm thinking he might be talking about you.
I don't know. Can we get a clarification on that, Skinny Pete?
Skinny Pete.
Nice.
And
Ken,
folks at home, Pete, let's remind them. Facebook, like, and share. We're about to wrap this up soon.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask Ken for his trivia question for the audience.
Yes.
Okay, I'll get this out of the way so that while everybody's chiming in and getting the answer, we can do the Facebook, like, and share stuff. Here it is, guys. This may be a tougher question than I think it is, but it's pretty tough. Here we go. Who was the first person to patent a fishing lure in the United States? I need his name.
Eugene Shoestring Dubois.
You're talking about the crazy spinnerbait thing, aren't you, BTC?
Right.
No.
The Bass Pro Shop spinnerbait.
It's a
Fred Arbogast.
You're way after. Fred Arbogast? Come on.
Yeah.
Arbogast was primarily did his stuff in the 40s. This is a few years before that. When I say a few years, I mean
it's got to be in the 1800s.
Yes.
Ooh.
It's got to be.
And this is for the grand prize.
This is for the grand
Tell them what the prize is, guys.
Yeah.
Does it start with an H?
And it is a grand prize. Rich, it's valued over $100.
It is valued over $150. It's a TH Marine cull system. It's a TH Marine prop nut. Mike Iaconelli Signature Series sunglasses, also referred to as Mike Iaconelli Signature Series sunglasses.
Iaconelli.
A Rapala Rip and Wrap, an RTD rod threading device, and some soft plastics in there, guys. So it's a great prize. It's another reason why you should be over here on Bass U TV watching tonight's show.
And we are going to throw in a Minn Kota hat and a Humminbird hat into this grand prize.
I don't even have a Minn Kota or Humminbird hat, Colo.
I know a guy. We'll get you hooked up.
Thank you.
So while we're waiting for the correct answer to come in, we have some new things getting released out onto Bass U TV this week. We have yours truly, Pete Gluszek, with a hollow body frogs versus buzz toads seminar. We filmed that a few weeks back on the Chesapeake Bay. It was awesome. Caught some fish. That's a really good one on the differences between the two baits and how to use them effectively. We have a shallow water fishing segment coming out this week as well. And this one I am super, super stoked about, especially since we have Mr. Colo on the show right now. 360 mega and side imaging with Autipilot. Guys, that's one that is going to release some absolute super juice. So if you are a tech head or a Sonar electronics head like myself, definitely make sure you tune into that one. And we released last week, we sat down with Tyson Alvanos of Humminbird as well, and he broke down some of the systems as well. So there's all kinds of stuff coming out on Bass U TV. We still have the Frog Days of Summer promotion going on as well, where if you sign up right now for Bass U TV, we're hooking you up with 3 things, and they're the coolest 3 things you can get in bass fishing. It's a camouflage Bass U TV official hat. I'm wearing it right now. You guys can see it. And we're also going to send you 2 Spro frogs. Okay, so sign up for Bass U TV. Get full access to over 700 instructional videos from the best bass fishermen in the world. We're going to hook you up with a camo hat and 2 Spro bronze eye frogs. Head over there and do it.
Wow.
And
what?
the Bass University app is now available on the App Store and the Google Store. So that just released. We didn't send the press release out yet, and that's going to be, it's available right now, guys. And go check it out, and you can watch us over there. And I'm guessing, Ken, that my guess was going to be the frog guy that I don't know his name, but we had him on one of the last questions.
Yeah, I think we were talking about the first hollow-bodied frog a few shows ago. That was 1895. No, this is before that by more than 40 years.
What?
40 years?
Yeah.
They had a patent office back then?
They had a patent office back then. The first patented fishing lure was 1852. That was back when I was only in elementary school at the time, so I barely remember it. This guy was from Whitehall, New York. So come on, you guys from up in the New England area. This guy he was known as the bait maker of Whitehall.
We're going to give some clues.
We got a winner.
What?
We got a winner.
We got a winner, of course. After those clues,
the winner actually came in before. I was just letting the chitter chatter go a little bit there.
Okay.
The winner was Lee C. Congratulations, Lee C. With the correct answer of Julio T. Buell of Whitehall, New York. He received a patent for a fishing lure on April 6th in 1852.
That's exactly right. And Riz, actually, I don't think it was Julio, because I don't think he wasn't Hispanic. I think he was Julio. Like Ernest and Julio Gallo.
Okay.
But Julio Buell, a lot of people also credit him with having invented the first fishing spoon.
Yeah. Okay.
The first fishing lure he patented was a bait that would float as a topwater, or you could unplug it and fill it with water, and it would go subsurface.
What?
So that was the first one back in 1852.
Sabile.
Yeah, Patrick Zabeel, a great friend of mine in Colo. And when I think of the most passionate anglers I know, I really do think of Patrick Zabeel and Jeff Kolodzinski. I'm afraid of them. If they're ever in a boat together, I don't want to be anywhere near that body of water.
That would be fun to broadcast, what that would look like.
Yeah, I would run. I would watch it on closed circuit, but I would not be in the boat.
Oh,
Wow. What a great question. And man, our crew came through. That might be the most challenging question that you have tasked us with, Mr. Duke. That went 5 minutes, I think.
It's a tough one. Jeff, you haven't been on the show before, but these trivia questions I throw out to this Bass University crowd, man, they usually nail them in under 10 seconds. Some stuff that I think is very tough. They're super sharp.
Well, you guys are talking to one of the greatest minds in bass fishing. For fun and excitement, I'll walk up to Ken and be like, okay, 1980 Bassmaster Classic, who won it, on what was their weight? And it just flows. I'm like, I have trouble remembering which day the garbage goes out. How do you remember this stuff? And he does.
It's it started out as a wasted youth, followed by a wasted middle age, and now a wasted old age. No doubt, 1980 St. Lawrence River, black and brown jigs.
Oh, he's so awesome.
And didn't he win it on the Rat in that derby?
The Rat? No, he won it on he was fishing jig and pig.
I thought he was fishing the man's rat, and I remember watching something like that on
Incredible.
That is incredible.
No, sorry. No, he
Ken,
was throwing a black and blue
they're going to
jig.
need
black and brown jigs.
the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame is going to need to cryogenically freeze your head when that fateful day comes. That knowledge has got to be stored.
Mention that, Brian, because the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, I think their brains are already frozen. That is the worst organization in the history of our sport. They're a bad joke. Don't start me on that rant. They're a bad joke.
Oh,
Hey,
it was so happy and fluffy and bunnies and rainbows, and then that happened.
if you could take all of the brain power of the people who are in charge of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame and the voters, the nominating people, and so forth, you would not come up with enough energy to blow your nose. That's how much brain power is at work in the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame.
Ken,
All right,
Ken,
now we're talking.
Don't sugarcoat it for us, Ken.
Wow.
Tell us how you really feel.
I love it. Good stuff,
Don't
Ken.
worry, they don't know.
Hey,
They
give
don't
us
even
something.
know that
Talk
there is
about
such a
little bluegill fry or something happy now. Just
I know.
something.
I kind of want to go back into the darkness a little bit. I'm ready to leave.
Yes, I'm drawn to the darkness too.
I'm sorry you guys had to see that.
Who else are we supposed to hate, Ken?
Just the
saw
Bass
a vein
Fishing,
in
the Bass
Ken's
Fishing Hall of
head.
Fame is a farce. They're absolutely a farce. I would laugh at them if they weren't so sad.
Well, somebody's got to cry. Somebody's got to preserve that, Ken.
Yeah.
Oh no! I tell you what, I will take on everybody on the board of directors of the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame in a trivia contest. Me against them collectively. I will mop the floor. With those, probably couldn't identify.
And they
bass
can use their
all in a
phones.
lineup.
That's awesome.
I digress.
Oh
The
my
money's on
goodness!
you, Ken.
Indeed.
All right, well, BTC, we gotta figure out how to trip Ken switch.
I'm on it. I'm on top of it.
We have to find out what else is stuck in his
There's
crawl.
a couple other things I know a
Sorry
couple
about that,
things now.
guys. Hey, Riz, scissors to that part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that part's
The funny thing is,
getting
I
scissored
love a
again.
good rant, and Dennis Miller's got nothing on you, Ken, dude.
Yeah.
Colo unfortunately has been not victim of, but witness to several of my rants through the years.
I love a good rant.
Well, I tell you, Colo, you were awesome to have on the show.
Man,
And,
I really appreciate you having me. I really do.
Yes.
You're full of bright and energy, and I could see why Minn Kota and Humminbird value you so much in Johnson Outdoors. You bring a lot.
I'm blessed to do what I get to do. I'll tell you that way.
Well, it was great to have you on, and hope to maybe have you on at some point in the future when we're talking about these types of things.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'd love that. And when you get dialed in, or any of you guys, Ken, Briz, Brian,
Yes.
yourself, it doesn't matter when you get your boat in whatever month it is. Feel free to reach out. If you got a trouble, you got a question, feel free to reach out.
Oh, thank you
That
so
Tyson
much.
Alvanos guy is dialed in too. He knows his stuff.
Yes.
He's a
yes.
good dude.
Right
No,
on.
we love Tyson. Tyson's been great to work with, and we're proud of our relationship with Minn Kota and Humminbird, and we look forward to doing a lot of filming. We're, like I said, we're so psyched. We're going to be in the boat with Kevin in August or September of this year, and we were, you can check out Kevin's seminars on Bass U TV, and we're going to be doing some on water things about how exactly he does use his Humminbird Bass University style. So we are going to dive in deep.
Don't miss that one. And don't miss Defo. Last closing comment. That guy has a clarity of mind and thought that is almost frightening. If I'm a fish, I would just be intimidated by his intense but quietness. That guy does not get scatterbrained, and when he understands how to use a Humminbird and Minn Kota and all that stuff, he's somebody that can articulate that very, very easily. He's a good one to listen to, both those guys.
I couldn't agree more. We've worked with Ott for years and years, and he's a good friend of ours. And he does. I call Ott like in the category of a natural. He's one of those. He just is like a duck on water when it comes to bass fishing. It's easy. It's simple. It's like he's just a natural. And we have a lot to, from Ott. So go check him out at Bash U TV. Kolo, thank you.
Awesome.
Ken, thank you. Riz, do we have a like and share winner? Do you want to announce?
Yes, we do. Tonight's Facebook like and share winner for Bass U Live is John Henning. Congratulations, John Henning. You are the winner of tonight's Facebook like and share. I will be reaching out to you via social media.
Right on.
Congratulations, John. BTC, do we have anything left?
Yeah, I want to throw a plug in for my man Vegas. Vegas's hat. If you guys watched Ike Live Sunday night, Mike's son Vegas has his own line of hats out and his own logo. And there it is. Pretty amazing logo for Vegas the Hammer. And you can purchase these hats on his Instagram page at Vegas the Hammer. Pretty cool hat, cool logo. And
nice.
And Homeboy just had his first win of the season in his first derby, a mega bag of 18.3 of smallmouth and largemouth. And pretty solid for a 9-year-old. So
wow,
amazing. Congratulations to Vegas Ike and Ellie, and
yes,
and go check that out. Get yourself a Vegas the Hammer hat, and go get yourself download of the Bash University TV app, Android or Apple device. Guys, thank you so much again, Kolo. Thank you, Ken. Thanks,
awesome.
Guys. It's been great.
Thank you.
We will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. on Bash University TV Live.
It's Mike Iaconelli. This is Bash U TV.
Here's what's awesome about Bash U TV.
You get the top instructors.
You will learn things at Bash U that you will learn nowhere else.
And we help you build confidence with new techniques.
We take the mystery and the myths out of bass fishing.
Real tools that help you catch more fish consistently.
At Bass U TV, shoes are optional.
And I like turtles.
We teach you to enjoy bass fishing.
And that's why you want to check out Bass U TV.
Join the Bass U family.
Welcome to Bass U TV.